Chapter 121. Bananas? No, a new esports plan. It can be said that players' adherence to the half-map principle and its execution should actually be considered part of team discipline. Since Jiang Ming had brought it up, he decided to go into more detail. Discipline was a fuzzy thing. People who understood it would, and people who didn't never would. It had been on the table since S5, and even now, in S15, some LPL teams still couldn't get it. It wasn't simply a problem of one club, one manager, or one player. The environment encouraged imitation, but provided little guidance. Ming Kai and the others were encountering this properly for the first time, so Jiang Ming explained patiently. For example, he said, at 14 minutes in this game there was a small fight. PDD on Jason, Ming Kai on Lee Sin versus PE's top laner and jungler. That fight was in full vision. At that moment, Pang Ran, who was doing well in the bottom lane, told Wei Xiao to apply pressure. Why? Because the state of the top lane decides whether bottom should push for a tower advantage, and vice versa. If we're losing top, or if our teammates are top, but the enemy jungler isn't visible, then bottom should avoid overextending to prevent a gank. If we're winning top, bottom can press the advantage, even call the jungler to help dive and kill to widen the lead. When both top and bottom are ahead, it's hard for a single jungler to cover both long side lanes, he added. PDD protested, but last game I was at a huge disadvantage. Why is the handling the same? He sounded aggrieved. Jiang Ming laughed. Lao Pu, don't get impatient. He brought up a classic negative example from S5, OMG, recasting it to critique Wei Xiao's current tendencies. Imagine if our top needed early help, but bottom took too many resources from mid and the jungler. Then what we saw in this game would be normal. In tactical terms, our scrim with PE was a failure, Jiang Ming said flatly. Wei Xiao started to defend himself, but Jiang Ming cut him off. We won because mid and the jungler made a breakthrough. What if mid couldn't gain an advantage and stayed even or disadvantaged? If top collapses, the jungler is the first one affected. Wei Xiao, you don't want to keep playing like this when you go back to Wii, do you? He didn't need to spell it out. The implication was clear. Playing like that at Wu Yi, where top laner Cao Mei and mid Ruo Feng fit the situation Jiang Ming had described, wouldn't work. Third, take a dragon fight as an example, Jiang Ming continued. When dragon is about to spawn and we contest in bottom, PDD, you must watch the enemy top laner. If a top laner disappears, they're probably heading to the dragon fight. If your farm is poor and your support there won't be effective, push the lane and take a tower to make up for it. Even if we don't get dragon, taking a tower minimizes loss. A winning top can split push to force enemy defenders, easing pressure on bottom and creating favorable conditions to contest dragon. Everyone listened closely at PE. Aluka sighed in admiration. He's like the Confucius of Esports. I'd be blank trying to explain this. Sheikah wasn't so optimistic. The principle is clear, but executing it is another matter. Building a team into what Jiang Ming described, 5 people, 1 mind, is hard. It's already tough to follow a single command perfectly, much less constantly judge and react based on both halves of the map. Every member must have discipline, and the decision-maker must have strong judgment, Ziv agreed. To be honest, I used to look down on supports, but after hearing JM's review and watching that little support from NXG, I think I underestimated them. Get lost, the target of the praise retorted. Manager Xiaoshuo chimed in. We can learn from this. In terms of discipline, you guys already outclass many clubs. In short, Jiang Ming had outlined the key mental checklist anyone responsible for team decisions needed to process regarding the half-map principle. It wasn't something that changed overnight. It required talent and time. At its core, the principle emphasized teamwork and control of map resources, an essential way to create advantages and control tempo. It tested a team's entire system, from club management to individual player quality. Second game. Jiang Ming abandoned his earlier silence and took command early. He guided them through the comms so they could personally feel the benefits of following the half-map principle. Lao Pu, watch the time. Jarvan can gank at level 2. Hold back. Don't rush forward. Wait until Ming Kai nears the river before you bait. Bottom lane, rotate out now. Fall back to the second tower. Jarvan isn't top. Mid is missing. They might be setting up a 4-man dive. Duo lane. Swap to mid. Wei Xiao, when the jungler and support are warding, if there's no jungler vision nearby, you can't cross the midline. Crossing gives them an opening. Look at my vision. Pangran and Ming Kai have most of theirs in top, so I'm bottom and have to be careful. If I push too deep, I'm an easy target for PE. Clear minions. Before a team fight, you must first deal with the minions in your lanes. Minions provide vision, and being the side that's pushed wastes time in a Baron or Dragon standoff. PDD, finally having a satisfying top lane game, couldn't stop smiling. His laugh sounded like a pig snorting in the room. With JM commanding from mid, he only needed to execute. Protected by multiple layers of guidance, he bullied Aluka from start to finish without getting caught. In one Baron standoff, he pushed from the second turret to PE's high ground in just over 40 seconds. The exhilaration was indescribable. Awesome, someone shouted. Jace's long range versus short range is so fun. Laozhang, buy me into NXG. My salary demands aren't high. Ming Kai was speechless. Abu's ears perked up. Wang Sikong, who happened to be standing at the door planning a surprise visit, overheard PDD's boast. He flipped a table in his mind. Pu Mao, come out. I want a multi-million-dollar conversation with you. I spent a fortune getting you into All-Star, and you talk like this? Dream Team Training, Day 3. Night fell. After notifying the LPL organizers, Jiang Ming led the team, carrying several folding tables, to a small garden next to the training hotel and set up a barbecue. Wang Sikong picked up the bill for materials and expenses. Xiao Pang, your grilling is legit. No worse than the pros outside, PDD praised, eyes fixed on Pang Ran at the grill. It's family business, Pang Ran laughed. My family ran a barbecue place. I grew up by the grill. I just learned from helping out. It's delicious, the authentic spicy Sichuan flavor. Abu and Ming Kai joined the skewer-eating ranks. So like in dramas, you went pro to chase your dream? Wei Xiao asked. Something like that, Pang Ran said nonchalantly. White Crescent teased, if I don't make it pro, I'll have to go home and inherit the family fortune, live in luxury, but give up my dream. The thought makes me sad. That's the life I dream of, PDD grumbled, his finger twitching as he glanced at the head coach and their patron. White Crescent handed a pack of Huangalu cigarettes to PDD. Mingay said you can have 2 during breaks, but don't overdo it. Thanks, Daddy Zhang, for this spiritual sustenance, PDD said, delighted. Jiang Ming had approved the cigarettes for older players. There was 1 pack for the whole team. Most of the LPL players, including White Crescent, were heavy smokers. Completely forbidding it would be pointless. Withdrawal would be worse during 2 days of intense training. Younger guys like Pang Ran were held to stricter standards, though. Jiang Ming didn't want them developing addictions. Laozhang, be straight. Do you really think we can win All-Star? Wang Sikong leaned back, sipping his soda. He was here to gauge the Dream Team's strength. His esports ventures had recently become the most promising part of his otherwise scattered portfolio. If the team won, Tencent might relax policies and push LOL's pan-entertainment promotion further. That would open up more leagues, cups, and opportunities. By the end of S3, major players would start investing in esports in earnest. Tell me what you want, Lao Wang, and what I'll get in return. Jiang Ming ate calmly and replied, could you have asked that less awkwardly? Maybe. Can we lose 1 whole game from start to finish in this tournament? Really? Of course not, Jiang Ming said, smiling. The original Dream Team, without him, had crushed other regions and only lost to Korea's OGN in the finals. Now with him and Xiaopang added, and after intensive training, this upgraded Dream Team would have to be throwing a match for him to consider a loss acceptable. Wang Sikong put his food down. If we can win this All-Star, higher-ups will loosen restrictions. Tencent's promotion plan will expand, and the LSPL, more cups, and other projects will grow. By the end of S3, big players will enter esports. He leaned forward. I'll be blunt. My dad has a friend with a startup aimed at young people. If your NXG performs, he's willing to invest next year. Our ask isn't big. Help us cultivate IG, or sell us a batch of professional coaches and some strong players. Jiang Ming's expression flickered. He could guess which friend this was. A startup for young people sounded familiar. He suppressed an eyebrow raise and allowed a small smile. I have a condition, Jiang Ming said. Name it, Wang said, brightening. He loved demands. It meant a clear deal. By the end of next year, Xiao Wang Tongji said he wanted to establish a cultural development company focused on esports event production, program production, streamers, and talent management. He needed investment and connections. Esports events, production, streamers, management. Jiang Ming recognized the outline. It was Xiao Wang Tongji's rotten banana project from his previous life, a plan to turn esports into a broader cultural industry and avoid ridiculous schedules like BO10s in a single day. Xiao didn't realize someone else had the same ambitions. He grinned. Piece of cake, he said. Chapter 122, Promotional Video and the Ultimate Plus version of the Dream Team. True to his word, Jiang Ming took the initiative and handled the image work for the very first LPL All-Star event on the 5th day of the training camp. He did it under the NXG name, the image design for the LPL Dream Team. As a model club in the LPL, excelling in performance, management, and player image packaging, NXG is more than capable of upgrading the All-Star Dream Team's image, he told them. The complete image package included 3 major items: team uniforms, individual player image designs, and a promotional video. The fee wasn't huge, nothing a studio would go bankrupt over. From a cold economic perspective, Jiang Ming didn't have to take on thankless work. But there's a saying, you eat one bite at a time, you take one step at a time. If he couldn't even take this first step, what was the point of talking about building a cultural company and running esports events later? He knew that in the eyes of the big players, he and NXG were still small potatoes. If it weren't for the added clout of being a current student at Jinling University, many doors, even to participate, would have been closed. Fortunately, he had that ticket, and it was a good one. After sorting things with the LPL contact, that evening, Jiang Ming called Lin Shuiji and asked her to come back to campus quickly and bring the few prodigies he'd been keeping tabs on to Magic City. All-Star Training Camp, Day 6. The team's temporary training room had been turned into a makeshift barbershop. PDD, the top laner who needed to look aggressive on camera, naturally became the first to sit in front of the unbelievably young Tony their coach had hired. "All right, don't move. I'm still studying you," Guo Yuqing said with a little annoyance as she fussed with PDD's big round head. PDD fidgeted a little. Sis, don't mess up my hair, okay? Don't worry, this'll look great. I already showed Zhang the inspirations for all 5 of your image designs. She smiled, then softened her voice. Your face is very round, so we need to start with the hair. Add volume on top. When you get it cut in the future, don't get something that lies flat to your scalp. Flat tops will make your face look wider. Lucky for them, PDD hadn't trimmed much recently, so she had room to work. I recommend 2 styles that will visually lengthen your face. You pick. She pulled up 2 reference photos on her phone, both from classmates with similar features. One is a root perm, the other is a side-parted fringe. Root perm? PDD's face lit up. Oh wow, that's really good. Just do whatever you think is best. I'm fine with anything. Jiang Ming stood behind them and watched, amused at how quickly PDD surrendered to the stylist. No kidding. This was an innate Tony talent he'd managed to recruit from the university's art and design department through Lin Shiji. Guo Yuqing could easily run a salon out of her dorm room and charged mid to high prices for personal image work across half the campus. Several department heads had come to her for makeovers. That's part of how her little dorm salon kept running. Doing image design for a few esports players was nothing to her. As the saying goes, you never know how many treasures are hidden in university dorms, waiting to be discovered. Wow, this skill is great, someone murmured. Old Pooh looks really handsome now. He has that ancient general's imposing aura, another voice praised. Half an hour later, exclamations filled the training room. Guo Yuqing's work had won everyone over. Next, me. Damn it, Ming Kai, don't charge so fast in fights when you always initiate like that. I'm telling you, Wei Xiao, does your face even need hair to look good? Let me go first. No, my butt's already half on the chair. Let me go. Wei Xiao didn't back down. No man could refuse the satisfaction of being made handsomer. In the end, Wei Xiao's calculations were outmatched by his jungler, who fancied himself the Zhuge Liang of the jungle. Guo Yuqing examined him and said, "Your image is more steady and introverted. You have a longer, chiseled face. Styles that highlight maturity suit you." She offered 2 options, slightly wavy textured short hair or a high-layered, messy slickback. A side-parted slickback could also work, but you'll be on live streams, so we won't go with anything too fragile. After watching for a while, Jiangming slipped out of the makeshift barbershop. NXG's 5 players' images had been planned methodically since the team formed. There wasn't much debate to be had about hairstyles. At most, they'd have to add something for White Crescent. "They still haven't approved the design drafts?" he asked as he stepped into the hotel's hallway. The training room where they'd been was on the 4th floor. Lin Jingyi sat on the sofa outside the meeting room, laptop open. "No reply yet. We sent 3 versions, so it might take a little longer. Their contacts said they'd try to give us a result today." She glanced at the screen. QQ showed no activity. Jiang Ming frowned and made the call himself. He'd submitted the Dream Team uniform designs the same night he finalized the image work with Penguin. Uniforms were different from image designs. Once the draft was approved, production had to be arranged. NXG had clothing manufacturers they cooperated with, but production couldn't be rushed without notice. After he explained the key points to the LPL contact, the person said the final draft had been approved and the selection would be sent directly to NXG's manager's QQ. Beep! Before the call even ended, Lin Jingyi's laptop chimed. "See, they finally picked this set." Jiang Ming leaned over. The final uniform design the LPL had chosen was the 3rd, extra version. Not a surprise to him. It makes sense. If TV5 hadn't decided to broadcast, either of the first 2 sets would have worked. But once the higher-ups paid attention, the simple and elegant tomato and egg design was going to be the final choice. So I actually had the manufacturer make a few sets of each version in advance, but we focused on the 3rd one. We own the rights, so we can ride the all-star wave and launch them alongside NXG's uniforms. Lin Jingyi could only stare. Having a boss who was also a marketing genius left her not knowing whether to laugh or cry. With the player images complete and the team uniforms Jiang Ming had prepared ready, he took the Dream Team members back to where NXG had shot their team photos. 5 players, plus 2 coaches, plus 1 tactical analyst, 7 people covering 8 positions for the photo shoot and, most importantly, the promotional video shoot. May 23, 2013. The League of Legends 2013 All-Star event was 1 day away. In a small 3rd-tier city in the southwest, inside an internet cafe called Wanderer. A college student with the handle SpongeBob sat in front of computer number 13 in Zone B. Unlike the others who were locked into games, SpongeBob had just finished 1 match and was refreshing the newly added All-Star page on the League of Legends national server site. "It's been over a week. What's going on? Why no news?" he muttered. "JM, you're always posting club updates. Couldn't you throw up 2 pictures? A friend in the chat prodded. SpongeBob was a die-hard fan of NXG and of JM. He'd only gotten into League this season, but he'd watched all of JM's tutorial videos, from normal games to ranked, from beginner champions to tricky meta picks, from mindless brawling to warding and wave management. As his rank rose, he and his doormates became NXG loyalists. They loved NXG's disciplined, tactical macro play that had given them an undefeated reputation. A few days ago, LPL had held player selection for the All-Star Dream Team. Fans had campaigned hard at school and in local cafes to get their favorite player into the team, and now the team was in, but there was no news. SpongeBob was impatient. "The matches start tomorrow. Don't tell me you'll post updates right before the games," someone joked. A crisp system notification chimed. SpongeBob's queue entered a new game, but when he refreshed the page one more time, new content appeared. Photos and text. "Brother on floor 2, what are you playing? Support? If not, can I take it? I'm great at vision control and tactics," someone shouted in the cafe at the same time as the new All-Star post went live. "5th floor support, Dad. Please roam top. I can give you the kills," another player yelled. The post on the All-Star page caught SpongeBob's full attention. A promotional photo of the LPLCN All-Star Dream Team on the homepage. LPLCN Dream Team. "We're sorry to have kept summoners waiting. After a week-long training camp, our Dream Team is ready to meet everyone." Below is a photo of the Dream Team. "Holy cow, are they that handsome?" SpongeBob exclaimed, drawing glances from the people waiting for a computer. Some bold onlookers came over and started watching the screen with him. "Is this the LPL All-Star team? Damn, That's sick. The small crowd expressed similar admiration. SpongeBob clicked into the comments to join in. Front row. Sofa, peanuts, beer. Claim yours downstairs. I was worried the LPL would go with WE or IG school-style uniforms, but seems I worried for nothing. Joke, don't you guys know who's in? Our circle's top fashionista isn't a fake name. Look closely. PDD and the others even got new haircuts. They got their hair done. Exactly. Representing the league, representing the country. How can they look like stay-up-all-night internet kids? Why are there only 7 people for 5 players plus 2 coaches, 1 analyst? Right. Shouldn't JM be photoshopped in as the coach? Bad review. Honestly, this all-star photo is just a little bit handsome, especially that red and white flame uniform. The layout is distinctive, right? It gives me that good guy and bad guy show up feeling from Bleach. Let me do some popular science on this uniform design. First, color matching. Red and white. Red is passionate and bold. White is simple and elegant. The two together create a strong visual impact that fits esports' passionate atmosphere and shows team vitality. It's highly memorable visually. P.S. Traditional sports teams often use this color scheme. SpongeBob, feeling knowledgeable, typed furiously to explain the uniform's advantages. He scrolled down and found another update from the LPL All-Star account. A video. Oh, it's the All-Star promotional video. A short film just over 10 minutes long sat on the All-Star page, titled Starting Point. SpongeBob raised his headphones volume. There were too many people around. He didn't want any noise to ruin it. The cinematic began with Fist's signature shattering screen effect. Then a point of starlight blinked in the dark, and the sound of wind howled in SpongeBob's ears. At 15 seconds in the screen brightened to blue and white skies. Sunlight spilled across the ground as a fast, long shot swept the landscape, giving viewers an immersive sense of place. Freljord, huh? Someone muttered nearby. Wait, are those mountain peaks? Chapter 123. JM is simply Superman. Towering peaks pierce the clouds, ringed by drifting nebula. The imagery of climbing the summit is so clever. What a piece of work. SpongeBob shifted on his stool, rotating his round body and letting his crab-claw fingers drum absently on the table. As the long shot slowly pulled back, a fair hand appeared from the lower right of the screen, clutching a burning shard of lava at a crack in the ground. When the red and white flame pattern crawled across the cuff, everyone in the live comments unconsciously typed the same thing, JM. In the official promo pictures, the players wore short sleeves and only the head coach wore a long-sleeved battle robe. This was a promotional video centered on the Dream Team players. Abu and White Crescent weren't going to be in the C position, so whoever appeared in that opening shot was obvious. At the same time, the narration began. This is an age where glory is forged in code, where the oldest human contests take place inside a world of fantasy. The camera cut fast, and between ribbons of shadow and light, not only thrilling moments from the LPL stage flashed by, but endless classic scenes from esports history, brilliant stars rekindled by time, one after another. In a world built of numbers, esports is an exhilarating clash of courage and wisdom, a fervent flowering of dreams and passion. The images all pointed toward the same themes: talent, effort, sweat, teamwork. Every operation here redefines the limits of human reaction. The camera drifted upward as if guided by an invisible hand, sweeping over the scene inch by inch until it fixed on a face. Bitter Freljord winds lashed the skin of the animated character, determination carved into his features. In the world of digits and dreams, esports is an exhilarating clash of courage and wisdom, a fervent blossoming of dreams and passion. The line repeated, deliberately stirring. Whoosh! The rock the character held flared with a faint star-like flame that resisted the cold. Its light pointed straight toward the sacred, towering Targon. The scene shifted again. In the distance, a stout figure wielding a huge hammer, PDD, stood in the center of the frame, brutally battering at the surrounding ice creatures. Time passed. The animated character collected more blood and wounds. The narration continued. Some say top lane is a lonely contest. But I know every laning gamble, every teamfight soak is a medal of growth. On the battlefield, I am an unbreakable bulwark. The players waiting in line erupted into expletives. Holy crap, is this a promo video? A national-level anime blockbuster. Stop, JM, you should be making animated blockbusters, not just playing games. The PDD shot was insane, makes me want to go top. Scars are a man's coolest medals. Shut up, don't be awkward, there's more. Facing endless ice monsters, PDD and his Jace-like hammer finally ran out of gas. Just as his animated avatar was about to fall, a beam of light streaked from afar, annihilating the monster. It's not over yet, no time to waste. Wei Xiao. Viewers guessed the next player instantly from the skill effects and hero lines. Ezreal, Wei Xiao, flashed across the field, weaving with arcane shift and blasting the ice beasts. It felt exactly like a top laner taking hits while the AD carried damage. In the maelstrom of teamfights, the AD is the team's core. I know every shot I take bears the team's hope. I'll use precise output to win games for my team. Hiss, just as Ezreal was harvesting the battlefield, a purple curtain split the air. From within crawled an ugly bug-like creature, clutching a wicked dagger, lunging for Wei Xiao. The Ezreal avatar didn't panic. Close up, the young man's lips lifted in a faint smile. Chains clinked and tightened across flesh on the frozen plain, emerald green shackles originating from Pang Ran's slender hands. At the same time, he flung out his lantern. With his support's help, Wei Xiao clicked the lantern to escape an encirclement of ice monsters while landing a mystic shot for the kill. Maybe my light isn't dazzling, but I am indispensable. I light the path. I keep my teammates safe. I'm willing to be the team's steadfast backing, charging toward victory with them. Progress bar. Hang in there. Holy crap, this is so good. Every position placed perfectly. The narration fits. Even people who don't play can get it. I just want to know why JM, the C position, only had that one inexplicable shot at the start. Feels like watching an anime. Thumbs up to 10 cents promo. Top notch. Back in the video, after Wei Xiao and Pang Ran wiped the opposing threat, the ground split open and a colossal winged ice dragon burst from the chasm. The live chat immediately fired off the same line. Jungler! Starting the dragon. The jungle is my hunting ground and my battlefield. Countless runs through the jungle, ganks and counter-ganks, acute judgment and precise tempo control. I must constantly watch the game and my teammates. Ride forth. Ming Kai's entrance differed. He arrived with an animated bristle. Riding the beast, he swung a chain and unleashed a ball of true ice. I will prove who the world's #1 jungler is. Holy crap, pig farm. Haha, the official actually did this? They included the meme. Jungler Sejuani, what a thing. Does this count as official recognition of the pig farm nickname? Absolutely. World's #1 jungler. Charge. The mid is just farming. Teammates are doing dragon. What are you doing? Lousy mid laner, still farming. Some viewers who had finished the clip started to joke and rag on the mid. Even without Jiang Ming, with the jungler's arrival, the four managed to encircle and slay the ice mini-dragon. But before the quartet could set foot at the mountain's base, a spiraling titan descended from the summit, a dragon coiling itself around the peak. If later players saw it, they'd shout, "Holy crap, ow shin, thump, thump." What followed was portrayed in a traditional Chinese inkwash montage. The four weren't strong enough yet to scale Targon and pass the dragon's trial. It had to be JM's turn. The message was clear. Brave the peak together, each member indispensable. Damn, is this a promo for a game region or a tearjerker? Trust me, you haven't misread it. The final scene's voiceover had been specially processed, stirring and stirring. Every last hit, every clash is the tinder that ignites talent, and more than that, the fruit of sweat. Esports is never only for geniuses, it is the tempering of talent into a blade through millions of practices. This is the sportsmanship of our esports. Sportsmanship is not only winning or losing, but the attitude of a climber who always charges toward higher peaks. The battle has just begun. Giving up is not an option. Jiang Ming ran until he stood before the divine dragon, crackling with lightning. He didn't become a savior, as some expected, by running in to heal the fallen teammates. Mid lane is never a soft haven for healing. It's a front line where you crush the enemy with mechanics and awareness. On the esports path, companions may be at your side, but breakthroughs hide inside self-refinement. No one can complete your gamble for you. 2 lines of white subtitle appeared. Jiang Ming straightened the lava shard and strode forward, ignoring the dragon's warning. The flames flared up and swallowed him. The screen went black, and a question hung over every viewer. So, Summoner, what is your choice? Top lane of the War College requests to fight. The Black Rose support will protect my teammates. Of the Kinku Order will deal damage to the end. Jungler of the Dauntless Vanguard charges forward. Mid laners of Ionia are with you. Bandle City Scout standing by. The one before Teemo's still out. A flood of live comments poured across the right side of the screen. Countless viewers hit pause and silently swore an oath. What seems naive to later generations was just right in 2013. At the video's end, a ball of fire descended and slowly melted the true ice that had frozen the Fallen Four. Their eyes fluttered. The toughest of them, the top laner, slowly rose. In front of them, the impassable wall they had failed to break was now pierced with a narrow path. The trail was still rough, but it led toward Targon's summit. The video closed with the words, "Produced by JM Studio." The promo hit hard. Within hours, the LPL Dream Team video, less than 10 minutes long, was being shared like wildfire across esports forums, Baidu Tiba, and League QQ groups. Top-tier Japanese animation standard for a promo, JM Studio. Dude, just go make anime already. A deep read of what JM meant with this 10-minute short. People praised the production values, analyzed the script, and argued that the thematic ambition had lifted it beyond the usual esports fare. The heroes chosen for each player and the lane lines of dialogue were dissected and lauded. And few were surprised by the "produced by JM Studio" credit. Made by a student team? Some raised eyebrows, but anyone who'd followed Zhang Ming and NXG for the past 6 months had already grown inured to his many stunts. He'd become practically Superman in their eyes, a university student who attended class, ran an online store, managed a club, played matches, and designed the Dream Team uniforms and player images. A promo with profound meaning and grand scope? Not shocking. People rolled with it, content to be spectators. It blew up. Our Dream Team's promo set the internet on fire. The higher-ups praised it too. Lao Zhang's interpretation of esports spirit? Perfect. When the LPL operations manager called about the viral traction, he sounded ecstatic. He hadn't expected that a favor task turned over to a university team would become such a hit. Zhang Ming, though, wasn't surprised. Compared to the crude, awkward promos he'd seen, black and white backdrops, players reciting cheesy expedition speeches, uninspired behind-the-scenes clips, his was a cinematic knockout. He'd poured 12 times the usual effort into the script alone. If this didn't make waves, nothing would. And as for the praise from above, well, he knew exactly how many aspirational, uplift-filled lines he'd packed in. The clash of courage and wisdom, the intertwining of dreams and passion, scars as medals, teamwork and collaboration, talent and effort. Even the King of Heaven couldn't find a fault. Now I wonder if, when Fist updates, they'll start from scratch, or pay me a copyright fee for my idea of Tarek climbing Targon and merging with the Dragon Trial. Zhang Ming mused as he lounged in the NXG base office, stroking his chin and grinning at the design documents on his screen. He could almost see the Fist designers scratching their heads. He stood and called, "Lin Jingyi, come to the office." The team needed investment and expansion after this year. With the owner and the manager working in different places, meetings required running up and down. Minutes later, Lin Jingyi appeared. "How's inventory for the 2 sets of team uniforms?" "We prepared 4,000 NXG uniforms and a bit more than 500 All-Star Expedition uniforms," she answered. 500 All-Star kits sounded small compared to 4,000 NXG jerseys, but the Expedition uniforms weren't everyday wear, and a slice of sales had to go to the LPL. If it weren't for anticipating demand from their own fans for mid- and jungler Expedition kits, 500 was already generous. "That'll do. If we can sell these during All-Star, it shows our fan cohesion and purchasing power. If we need more, we'll ramp production after the first wave." They plan to ride the All-Star traffic. "We can link with the JM Food Moment pop-up and hold an All-Star-themed support event," Jiang Ming suggested. "Okay, I'll get them on the shelves," Lin Jingyi said. "Thanks for your hard work." "No, my boss Zhang, just tell me ahead next time you're going to make big news so I can prepare," she replied. She dressed herself in emotional armor, sunfire cape, and spirit visage metaphorically, against the shocks her boss dealt on a daily basis. If she kept getting surprised, her heart wouldn't take it. Zhang Ming put on an embarrassed smile. "It won't happen next time." Lin Jingyi rolled her eyes. "Sure. Then she added news of another worry. We're short-staffed again, not just part-timers, some full-time spots too. I know. What about a job fair after All-Star? A job fair sounds feasible. Graduation season's near. The careers office was asking me a few days ago. We can display a school enterprise partnership then. Meanwhile, in a small border city in southwestern Guizhou, at 6:30 p.m., an old office building's glass reflected the last rays of the sun. Master Jiang Jianjun, had been busy all day and rode his little electric scooter home. "You back?" his wife called. He set down his briefcase and coat and heard the clink of a porcelain spoon from the kitchen. "Yeah, why are you cooking so late?" Usually she'd be on the sofa watching TV. He opened the kitchen door and sniffed the air. Double the usual ingredients on the cutting board and sweet and sour ribs plated up. "Smells great. What's the occasion?" Zhang Dan, in a faded floral apron, arranged blanched asparagus onto a plate, steam dampening the wisps of hair at her temple. She smiled but didn't answer directly. "Guess." "Ah, guessing games. I'm terrible at these." His mind raced. Did he forget a special date? Wedding anniversary? Already passed. Wife's birthday? Not yet. His son had reminded him a fortnight ago about something at the end of next month. He panicked. For the sake of family harmony and avoiding the couch tonight, he scrambled for an answer. "Fine, I won't tease you." Zhang Dan wiped her fingers and said, "This afternoon the university called." "The university? Did our boy get into trouble?" "Don't be ridiculous. Universities don't call parents for misbehavior. It was the dean of the School of Economics and Management. Dean Yu called to say that our son..." Before she could finish, the TV in the living room burst into an excited sports bulletin. Jiang Zhenjun frowned. TV5 was broadcasting a game he normally disliked. He remembered how many young colleagues at his company would rather nap over keyboards than miss a round. He'd even caught 2 interns in the pantry, reviewing a match while nibbling bread. Back then, he'd resolved his son shouldn't be led astray. The announcer ran through the lines. With the rapid spread of the internet and the popularization of computers, Esports has grown into a professional sporting field with a complete system, over 100,000 registered players worldwide, and an annual output exceeding 10 billion, highly attractive to youth. It's reported that the 2013 League of Legends Shanghai All-Star Tournament will be held on the 24th, and our LPL will send a dream team represented by player Jiang Ming to participate. "Lao Jiang, your son is really something now." Dean Yu said, Ming's university entrepreneurship got special support from the school. Tomorrow he'll even take part in the All-Star Tournament as both head coach and mid-lane player. Zhang Jianjun's face froze. University entrepreneurship? A club? Esports player and head coach? His mind tried to catch up and failed. The promo referenced S7, the LCK 2021 Summer Split promotions, Tarek climbing Targon, and the Ao Shin Dragon trial, ideas crammed into the video that his brain couldn't unpack in a single breath. He stood in the doorway, stunned, the sweet and sour ribs forgotten for a heartbeat as the world he'd known collided with this new, bewildering one his son inhabited. Chapter 124. I'm not targeting anyone. I just want to say the opponents are all trash. After the All-Star promo and TV5's esports features aired, Jiang Ming realized the press wouldn't die down. The dramatic story of the Qilin son, the Dragon King's return, the kid who hid his identity for a year and then stunned his old man with a sly smile, was about to be pushed into the spotlight faster than anyone could have planned. At 9 that evening, after 4 or 5 hours of surfing the web, Lao Jiang finally got a clear picture of what his son had been doing underground for a year. It wasn't underground at all. It was easy to find. Baidu Baike already held at least 80% of his precious son's resume. Zhang Game ID JM, male, born in Guizhou, 1994, currently studying economics and management at Jinling University, founder of NXG Esports Club, head coach and captain of the LPL Dream Team, professional League of Legends player, YY streamer, top-ranked on the National League server, LOL tutorial video blogger. University entrepreneurship, Lao Jiang scoffed. No wonder the young guys at his grocery store kept glancing at him lately. The resemblance to the game blogger was uncanny. Jiang Ming's mother quickly cut in, worried her husband would overreact and bother their son. Don't argue with him. We can talk about games later. He's fighting for the country tomorrow. don't scare him. Lao Zhang's face darkened. So that's how you've been seeing me? An old stubborn, old-fashioned man who doesn't listen? No wonder the brat never said anything. Did you know about this all along? He demanded. Well, Jiang Ming's mother's eyes darted away. Her answer was non-committal, but the gist was clear enough. I'm not that senile. I checked online. Jinling University has an announcement supporting pilot programs for the emerging esports industry. Esports does have a wide audience among young people. It's good that he can take a leading role in a new field. Lao Jiang went quiet, shoulders stooping slightly, voice softer. I only wanted to use my experience to plan a stable, happy life for him. But experience is just the past. It's not always right. He needs to find his own path. If this is what he truly wants, he's made his own way. He's stronger than me. Then call him, his wife urged. No, he snapped. If you won't, I will. I'll ask when his match is tomorrow. Close the store for a few days if you have to. And tell him what you just said. Encourage him. I what? Lao Jiang turned beet red, snatched his wife's phone, and grumbled. I'll do it myself. This is a man-to-man thing. You go. Ha, fine. I'll go print a notice for the storefront. You should take the day off. Too much talk, he muttered as he closed the door on her nagging. Left alone, Lao Jiang vacillated. Call or not call? The ringtone finally broke the silence. His wife, shoes still untied by the door, chuckled as she walked to the neighborhood shop to hang up a holiday notice. Hello, Dad? Silence. Then, with a little hesitation, how are you getting ready for the match? Jiang Ming, unsurprised, was calm. Everything's ready. Don't be arrogant. Play well. Your mother and I will cheer for you tomorrow. Okay. May 24th, 2013. All-Star Match Day. University Town's little snack shop, JM Food Moment, hung a banner, support the LPL Dream Team and get discounts on snacks. The two clerks wore LPL Dream Team jerseys and NXG blue and white jackets. Posters of Jiang Ming and Pang Ran stood on either side of the entrance. Customers who snapped a photo with a poster and posted it on QQ Space could get an 8.8% discount. The shop's TV, normally showing the security feed, looped the Shanghai All-Star broadcast and the promo videos. Tencent's promotion had been relentless. Since last month, All-Star banners and ads had been everywhere. Universities, internet cafes, forums, QQ pop-ups, group chats. The first large-scale esports event in mainland China. Media from around the world, ESPN and CCTV included. It was being hyped as a landmark in Chinese esports, a carnival for millions of young people. TV5's previews had pushed the event into mainstream conversation. Electronic sports even climbed to the top of the hot search list overnight. And the kid who, as a sophomore, had become captain and head coach of an all-star dream team was suddenly on the map beyond the usual circles. Everyone who looked up players started lingering on this so-called esports genius with an astonishing resume. At the Shanghai Grand Stage, 10,000 seats, sunlight poured through the dome. 2 hours remained until the opening ceremony, but the plaza was already packed. Ordinary spectators, fans in LPL, NXG, or BE shirts, and people swapping contact info, wearing the various team colors. The big screens showed warm-up footage. The air smelled of popcorn and sausages. Cosplayers drew a lot of attention, girls posing as Caitlyn and Sona, painstakingly adjusting skirts and props, the Hextech rifle safeguarded with covers to avoid accidents. A group of shy boys hovered nearby, debating whether to ask for photos. Backstage, the home team lounge, reserved for LPL, was crowded. The Dream Team's players, coaches, logistics staff, and the commentators, Wawa, Shao Kang, and Joker packed the room. The commentators came by to chat and build rapport, especially with Jiang Ming. The esports world was still small, and JM's sudden success, traffic, and monetization made him a person everyone wanted to meet. As the saying went, when you're busy saving the world, everyone wants to talk to you. That attention came in all forms. The official cosplayers and promo models were particularly eager to get close, and their flattery gave Jiang Ming a taste of the odd perks of fame. He sighed inwardly at the spectacle. When you succeed, everyone suddenly seems friendly. Wealth and status even made normally aloof goddesses show unnerving enthusiasm. Leaders and organizers from Shanghai followed the commentators into the lounge. Jiang Ming, who had met one of the senior men during the All-Star Dream Team training camp, was the one who answered the officials. The other team members had little experience with these kinds of social interactions. So the room became a stage for an unlikely figure, Jiang Ming, calm in a red and white jacket, conversing fluently with suited leaders about the future of Chinese esports. Xiao Kong watched from the edge, fascinated. Having been in esports since 2004, working as a commentator since 2006, and even carrying the Olympic torch in 2008, she'd been a veteran for years. But she'd often felt lost about esports' direction and its acceptance by mainstream society. JM's sudden emergence felt like a new engine for the scene. He'd injected momentum and hope. Talented, handsome, rich, and over 1.8 meters, he's the perfect boyfriend template, she thought, and then winced at the next reality check. Too bad he was born in '94, 10 years younger. She inwardly mourned the cruel age gap. Chen Tao, Jiang Ming Sr., wrapped up the small reception. "We won't disturb the players' pre-match routines," he said. The lounge was too noisy for any serious discussion. It was more about goodwill and encouragement. As they filed out, the senior pulled Jiang Ming aside. "The leaders are very interested in your idea of esports driving urban tourism and the Youth Olympics concept. Come to my place after the All-Star. Tencent is pushing this too. If talks go well, you might get an exhibition match in Incheon next year." Jiang Ming nodded, keeping his excitement in check. "Okay, senior, I'll call after the match." Outside, the opening ceremony continued. Promos for regions: OGN Korea, LCS.NA, North America, LCN Europe, GPL, Southeast Asia, and the host LPL played. The LPL video, with its dramatic, over-the-top visuals, sent the crowd into waves of cheers. Even foreign visitors were surprised by the fervor. Dance acts, a parade of cosplayers, and then the official announcement. The 2013 Shanghai All-Stars had begun. The event spanned 3 days. Day 1 held the All-Star Skill Competition and 2 best-of-3 team matches. The skill competition was solo matches, 1v1 and 2v2, but with a twist. Players from the same positions faced each other. Tops v tops, mids v mids, junglers v junglers, and duo lanes in 2v2. Win conditions were first blood, first tower, or 100 minions. Riot had even prepared a special solo map called Molten Core for the event. In the LCS.NA lounge, players compared notes. "Man, the LPL promo was so cool," someone said. "Yeah, our 3 minutes felt like garbage time in a basketball game," another replied. "Maybe it's because you've already secured the win, so you get garbage time," Dyrus joked, waving snacks. Skara added, grinning, "After we beat them in the team match, that comment will make perfect sense." They had sized up the LPL Dream Team as their first opponent. Back in the Dream Team lounge, White Crescent, the analyst, pulled out his notebook and briefed the players. "Our first team opponent is LCS.NA. Their roster mainly draws from TSM and CLG. Top, Dyrus. Most used champs, Rumble, Shen, Renekton. Singed is also a signature. Stable laner, rarely spectacular, focuses on lane, weaker in team fights, doesn't hog resources. Mid, Skara. Recently plays Diana, Karthus, Kayle, though Kale's E just got nerfed. Katarina and Twisted Fate too. He farms in lane and roams mid-game. His recent form's been average." Hearing Diana, Karthus, and Twisted Fate made a few faces in the room twitch. Memories of old opponents surfaced. But JM's champion pool counters a lot of those picks. Zed beats Karthus, LeBlanc handles Diana. Really, there's hardly a champ JM can't play. In solo, he can even pull top or AD champions and dominate specialists. Jungle, St. Vicious, hard to describe. Wide champion pool, seems chaotic. Besides Jarvan 4, he can bring unusual picks, but results are average. He's funny and occasionally steals resources. Their strongest is definitely the bot lane, Doublelift and Xpecial. Doublelift's aggressive. Vayne, Caitlyn, Twitch. Pressures lane, but he's resource heavy. If his farm's average, he seldom performs well in team fights. Xpecial's a standard support who follows the meta. His weakness is vision control. He dies often while warding. Pangran, who'd been nervous about performing, brightened. Standard is good. We can work with that. Vision weakness? Perfect. We're top in vision score in the LPL. After the analysis, Pangran opened the team chat. NXG's 5 handsomest guys group. "Brothers, match is about to start. I'm nervous." "What do I do?" "Why nervous? With Ming Yi here, beating NA is a piece of cake." "Pang, count on us. We're cheering for you from base." "The league's most handsome AD. Don't embarrass me, bro. If you mess up on national TV, I can't call you my support." "Trust yourself, Pang. Your shot calling's solid. Peng Peng. After Bai analyzed them, my confidence just shot up. Wait for me to nab the All-Star MVP. Get lost, came the laughing response from the others. Jiang Ming reminded them, use pre-match data as reference only. Everything depends on the game. Don't put too much pressure on the solo segment. Win if you can, but if something weird happens, don't dwell on it. And don't let a solo result carry into the team matches. Understand? Understood. Jiang Ming didn't notice how quietly the little immaturities of college life had slipped away the longer he ran the club and team. The calm, measured authority he now wore naturally commanded the respect of his all-star teammates. Chapter 125, All-Star. Of course, it's time to show off, inside the Shanghai All-Stars arena. Oh my god, hurry up and start. My greatsword is thirsty for blood. Lin Fei, wearing the LPL red and white, waved a little support clapper impatiently. The endless pre-show acts were starting to grate on him. I want to watch the match. The cosplays and the huge light shows had been awesome the first few times he'd seen them, but after a while, they just felt repetitive. Sure, hands-on would be another story, but who let you get hands-on? You could only admire from the stands. There are a lot of people here, he muttered, looking around. Banban, we made it in. Why are you staring at your phone? Ban Yuzhe didn't even lift his head. Some guy on Tiba just posted champion pool data for the NA team. I'm trying to line up LPL versus LCS.NA matchups by role, see how the 5 positions would stack up. The match hadn't started yet, and he wasn't into the warm-up performances. People who came to watch Esports were like fans who went to a football stadium for the game. Nobody bought tickets just to watch the halftime dancers. Lin Fei leaned in. So, what did you find? Can our LPL get off to a good start? A good start is no problem. NA's top, mid, and jungler are middling. Their bot lane's good, but we're stronger in a few key spots. You're comparing them to our teams. Right, our bottom is strong, and our mid, top, and jungle are all deadly. Lin Fei's eyes widened, piecing it together. PDD's a typical aggressive top. Back in S2, he already bullied EU and NA top laners. Pair that with a jungler who's great at counter ganks, and the top half of the map will be dominant, especially with JM holding mid. If mid can stay ahead, the side lanes breathe easier. The jungler will have all the initiative for invades and ganks. For NA to win, they'd have to dismantle Wei Xiao's bottom lane. Is that even possible? It's stable. Don't me, tell me. You think I'm being clever, huh? Add me as a friend and we can duo sometime. They were still trading barbs when a group of 6 or 7 young fans drifted over, craning to eavesdrop. Ban Yuzhe waved them off. I'm just a keyboard warrior. I ramble. Oh, I don't like that phrasing. Lin Fei, recovering, threw an arm around his roommate's neck and introduced him to the cluster. Don't be fooled by his size. He's Diamond 2 on Server 1, a data-driven jungler who's given a hard time to some pros. A Diamond Master from Server 1, the nearest guy blurted. Jungler Daddy, take my knees. I'm your unknown adopted top laner son. I've wandered half my life on the top lane. If you don't rise, I'll bow. Hey, you can't say the last part. Ban Yushe scratched his head, embarrassed. My mechanics are awful. My reactions are slow. I miss my Lee Sin ward jumps at point-blank range. He'd hoped to deter the overly enthusiastic Chengdu boys by downplaying himself. Instead, it made them more excited. Poor mechanics? Even better. I'm the type whose brain is faster than their hands. If you teach me, I'll buy you dinner in Chengdu. Ban Yujie thought, can I say I'm only scared because you're from Chengdu? Luckily, the arena speakers cut through the fan chatter at exactly that moment. The next match was about to begin, and the commentators' voices pulled attention back to the stage. Hello, summoners. Thanks for waiting, the announcer boomed. Good afternoon. Welcome to the League of Legends 2013 Shanghai All-Stars. Over the next 3 days, we'll hold the All-Star Skill Competition and Team Competition on this stage. First up, All-Star Skill Competition, Round 1. Wawa, Joker, and Xiao Kang appeared on the broadcast screen. The live stream chat lit up instantly. Brothers, 2-0 in the opener, right? No problem, just a question of how long. Don't get cocky. JM's strong in scrims, but external matches are different. Sorry, my dog forgot its leash. Had to be put down on the spot. Nice. Anyone who undermines team morale during an external match gets executed. Still, let's not be arrogant. They're the best from their regions. Have you forgotten who's head coach of our LPL Dream Team? NXG doesn't mess around. After NXG's third-round performance, no one underestimated them anymore. PE, IGWE, Royal Club, they'd all improved, but NXG still stood out. Would JM, who trained that roster, lead an arrogant all-star squad? People didn't think so. First, let's welcome the players for the 1v1 individual skill competition, Wawa announced. He flipped his clipboard and smiled. From North America's LCS.NA, their mid laner Skara, and from our LPL, the Dream Team mid, JM, the director flashed their portraits on the big screen. JM Jam! Tens of thousands chanted until the arena shook. Jiang Ming walked out of the player tunnel with calm certainty. The spotlights haloed him as he strode to center stage, waving to both sides. The small flag painted on his right cheek and the red on his arm caught the lights, glinting. In the backstage control room, several LPL organizers watched the live feed and felt their palms sweat. As captain of the host team and the first to appear, this duel carried more than individual pride. It carried the expectations of the crowd in the stands and the millions watching the stream. But JM seemed relaxed. He even gave a double thumbs up to the camera before taking his seat and waiting for the match to load. Lao Jiang, it's Ah Ming, he's on stage! At home in Guizhou, Comrade Lao Jiang watched the live broadcast with a solemn face. His wife cheered, excited, but he knew what this meant. With great honor comes great responsibility. Win and flowers and applause, lose and, well, he couldn't afford to think about that. Both players, please prepare. All-Star Individual Skill Competition Round 1. Best of 3. Game 1 begins. To standardize things, the LPL operations team had even brought in on-stage referees, normally not used until Season 14, and had required players to pre-register peripherals for inspection. The rules had clearly tightened. After changing his in-game ID, Jiang Ming accepted the referee's ask and entered the special solo map room. Outside his headset, the crowd noise ebbed as the pick and ban screen synchronized to the big screen. His calm exterior hid a little nervousness. As Dream Team captain and host's first battle, he knew how much this single match could mean. He had planned to be here. To lose wasn't an option, and the opponent could not be anyone but Skara. This was just the beginning. The coin toss for side selection is complete. JM has priority for games 1 and 3. Game 1, he's on the left, blue side. Skara takes the right, purple side, Wawa narrated. For the first ban, JM removes Pantheon. Wawa raised an eyebrow. Pantheon, in a 1v1 his early poke's decent, but in an all-in I don't see him as a huge threat. JM's got a plan, Joker said. It was useless to doubt JM publicly. His game sense had fooled low-ranked players and would leave anyone questioning him looking foolish. Trust the ban list. Skara's first ban, Kennen. Next, Jiang Ming tossed Zyra into the ban pool. Contrary to some opinions, Zyra had a history as a top solo pick thanks to high base damage and strong lane presence, so the ban made sense. Not a flinch from facing her, but careful game planning. Skara then banned Caitlyn, wary of JM's minion wave manipulation. If Caitlyn farmed safely to 100 CS, the match would tilt hard. Neither side wasted the last bans. Jiang Ming casually added Annie. Skara followed with another focused ban. The final exchange was quick. Skara on purple has locked Nunu, Shao Kahn observed. Picking Nunu on the right suggests a counter approach. In a solo map, a level 1 potion start gives Nunu incredible sustain. In blind pick, the opponent's choice can ruin your plan, so the last mover advantage mattered. Before the commentators could fully analyze, the left selection box revealed its champion and Shao Kahn's voice tightened. Riven, Clang, JM locked instantly. Instant lock. Wow, JM surprises again, just like when he always had the new champion guides ready before anyone else. All-Star Individual Skill Competition, Game 1 champions, blue side CNLPL, JM, Riven, the Exile, purple side LCS.NA, Skara, Nunu, the boy in his Yeti. The livestream exploded. Is JM trolling? Riven in a solo. Do any high elo top mains know if Riven can solo? My impression is she only fills semi-tank roles in teamfights. I'm Diamond Thor, top main, and I don't get this pick. Riven can't be tanky and her damage ramps slowly. She becomes Nunu's toy. Use Ignite and Barrier. JM, you've never played solo, have you? Audiences questioned the pick because on the short solo lane, Riven's mobility ultimate, the quickness, is often less effective. Most players replaced it with barrier or exhaust to survive extended trades. Picking Riven looked, on the surface, like a beginner move. The loading screen finished, and both players appeared on the big screen. Jiang Ming bought his starting items swiftly, an elixir of iron plus a refillable potion. He smiled to himself. Riven's damage was slow, she couldn't go semi-tank. Let them think that. All-Star was a show, and Riven was a show champion. When my Riven pulls off the basic tech, the quickness QA, combined with a Q that hasn't been nerfed and was even buffed recently, then they'll see the beauty of the numbers. Chapter 126, Lightspeed QA and Offline PK. Lightspeed QA became the basic technique every Riven player learned in later generations. To put it humbly, after more than a decade of training mode, it was considered fundamental. Its essence was simple. Use Q to cancel the auto-attack animation by clicking the ground, then follow up with the second Q and cancel that animation the same way. Each of Riven's 3 Q casts could imbue her basic attacks with bonus damage. Master that QA combo, and you unleash terrifying burst damage in an instant. Once the technique spread, this veteran champion, who had spent years warming the top lane bench since 2011, finally stopped being a rare top pick or occasional tanky support. But Riven's true charm still needed Jiang Ming to demonstrate it. Jiang Ming started the match with a red potion and walked to lane without hesitation. At the tower, he began stacking his Q. A level 1 Riven with a stacked third Q could hold 3 passive stacks and ensure the shortest possible cooldown on the second Q. The commentators caught it on camera. "Look at JM, casting Q in place under his tower," Joker said. "Red potion too. That's aggressive. He's going for a solo kill. Isn't Nunu hard to bully out? Starting cloth armor and 5 pots to win by CS is more sensible. Don't be boring. Red potion. Go for it. Even if he loses, we'll back him up." Skara picked Nunu to mess with him. Curious choice. They traded barbs until the match actually did something dramatic. After 2 quick Qs, Riven walked down mid and met Nunu. Confident in his blue potion and Nunu Q's healing, Skara continued forward, planning to bait Riven's abilities first. Even if he dropped some health at level 1, he could eat a minion and heal later. Riven lacked sustain. He smirked for the camera. "Red potion, huh? I have exhaust and barrier. Can you really burst me down?" Then the screen showed Riven leap up and knock him into reality. Riven's knockup landed. Skara had used both Qs to stack, but he didn't expect the level 1 surprise. He still hoped for a few trades before the minions arrived. Riven, meanwhile, was calmly auto-attacking. Skara frowned as he watched Nunu's health slide away. The damage was far higher than he'd anticipated. Jiang Ming flicked the red potion as the cooldown finished. Health and attack power surged. Use barrier if he burns ignite, Skara thought, and quickly triggered barrier. He hesitated on exhaust. That hesitation was fatal. Once Riven's broken sword landed a basic hit, the champion in front of Nunu transformed. Blade light flashed. After images blurred across the screen. Each segment of Riven's Q struck with surgical precision. The previous attack animation barely finished before the next Q followed. Skill and basic attack animations canceled each other in a seamless rhythm. The audience saw only a half-health Nunu suddenly wiped in a storm of effects. A split second later, Riven sheathed her sword. "First blood, CNLPL, JM has slain LCS.NA. Skara!" the system announced, and the scarlet banner unfurled across Summoner's Rift. The commentators were stunned. What did we just witness? A level 1 kill before the minions arrived? JM actually killed his opponent at level 1 in the first solo match. The audience erupted. In the player lounge, Dyrus dropped his snack. Editors and writers who had been pacing for material started furiously typing. Social feeds exploded with headlines. JM unleashes astonishing play in all-star skill competition. Level 1 solo kill, skill or bug. Old top lane champion finds new life. Back on stage, Skara sat motionless, staring at his black screen. When he opened the damage page and saw Riven's absurd numbers, something clicked into place. "QA," he muttered. How had his opponent executed 3 Qs with auto so fast? He raked his hands through his hair. He had been killed at level 1 without even using exhaust. Game 2 made the realization sting. 10 minutes later, Skara sat in a daze, watching his Pantheon die under the tower. He lost again. This time he'd tried cloth armor and multiple potions, even reached level 6, but still fell 2-0. He'd finally understood JM's operation, an extraordinarily fast QA, and an additional, subtle technique that canceled Riven's long attack and ability animations, producing an incomprehensible burst. In this game, his opponent baited exhaust, farmed to level 6, and then finished him under his own tower. Skara roared in disbelief. This isn't scientific. The commentators wrapped it up cheerfully. 2-0. JM cleanly defeated his opponent in the individual skill competition. Let's congratulate him. Jiangming smiled. He took off his headphones and basked in the cheers. Standing in the spotlight and hearing tens of thousands of people chant for you had a unique clarity of satisfaction, a rush that transcended any other thrill. He flashed a victory sign toward the camera, then paused. He glanced over at Skara, still sitting at his station, and, as many cameras tracked him, stood and walked across to the other side of the stage. Wawa called it out in surprise. JM is leaving his seat and walking over to Skara. Everyone in the arena watched as Jiangming approached. He clenched his right fist as if preparing for a physical duel, but he wasn't there to fight. Competition carries its rituals. He extended his hand in a simple gesture of sportsmanship. "Good game," he said, and bumped fists with Skara. For a moment, Skara was stunned, then returned the gesture with a complicated expression. The camera caught it and broadcast the moment across platforms. Fans cheered even louder. "That's the greatness of JM," they shouted. Organizers and VIPs in the front rows smiled approvingly. The display of respect reinforced the message esports competition wanted to send. Competitiveness and sportsmanship can coexist. An elder in the VIP seats leaned toward Yukun. He not only has the skill, he also shows respect to his opponent. "You flatter me," Yukun replied with a small smile. Old Ching, watching the technical side, added a practical note. A level 1 Nunu solo kill is operationally feasible. It had been verified by that guy 5 points, but in normal professional play, players wouldn't usually take such risks. He admitted he had exaggerated the setup somewhat for dramatic effect. The crowd kept roaring. For Jiangming and the hundreds of thousands watching online, tonight had been a clear demonstration. Lightspeed QA, when executed perfectly, was lethal, and Esports had once again shown itself to be a sport with both fierce competition and mutual respect. Chapter 127, Shouting Slogans, We Are Professionals. Hello, everyone watching the 2013 League of Legends All-Star event. After the solo match ended, host Ma Fanshu appeared stage right, with Jiangming 2 steps beside her. This is the post-match interview segment. Allow me to introduce the person beside me, the winner of today's first All-Star individual skill match and captain of the CNLPL Dream Team, Player JM. Hello, Player JM. Please say hello to the audience here and at home. Ma Fanshu's support for him was no empty gesture. Though still a newcomer, she'd caught people's attention after being signed by Tencent Sports last year. Facing the camera, Jiangming, already comfortable with media, showed no sign of nerves. He nodded, smiling gently, held the mic in his right hand, and waved his left twice. Hello, everyone here and at home. I'm the CNLPL mid laner. My real name is Jiangming. My English ID is JM. Introducing his real name first, then clarifying that JM was his in-game ID, Ma Fanshu caught the subtlety and admired the composure of the university student beside her. Once the initial applause had died down, she began the interview. First question. As the host, you had to play in the first match of the individual skills competition. Did you feel pressure? How does it feel to win? Definitely, Jiangming replied. It was my first time performing in front of such a massive crowd, but I think my opponent felt it too. Most people in the venue cheered for me, so I wasn't overly nervous. I'm really happy to have won. The cheers from the live audience were just incredible. A safe, professional answer. With the TV broadcast carrying nationally, he avoided slang. Ma Fanshu moved on. Second question. You picked a champion today that's rarely used and showed a new technique. Can you explain? She'd done her homework. The arena quieted and the live chat went silent as players and viewers leaned in. Jiangming explained into the mic. In the individual skills event, I played Riven, the Exile. She's normally a top lane fighter. He paused to make the answer accessible to casual viewers, then switched to a more technical tone. Riven's passive charges her basic attacks whenever she casts a skill, so if you can chain skills and auto attacks quickly, she deals massive burst damage. Her Q provides 3 quick casts with a very short cooldown. In League, there are precast and postcast animations for both attacks and abilities. With Riven, you can click the ground the instant you cast Q or an auto to cancel the animation and chain the next action faster. I call it Fast QA. Damn, so that's how it worked. All 3 Qs charge her passive. If you can spam an autos that fast, the damage is insane. Got it. Okay, bros. Ranked after this? You think you understand until your hands try to do it. Riven wasn't just about fast QA. Mastering her meant getting timing, engagement windows, and skill chain sequencing down. You had to sync 3 Q casts with W stun, know when to use E to cancel animations, and understand the ultimate's execute threshold. Jiang Ming answered a couple more questions and wrapped the post-match interview. The All-Star interviews weren't exhaustive. With 25 players from 5 regions, you couldn't interview every winner. Getting had a single interview slot was a courtesy to the host region. Later solo matches went smoothly. PDD also won his, and the LPL swept the opening day's individual skill contests. At 4 p.m., after the solo events, the regional team match began. The big screen lit up with CNLPL versus LCS.NA and a 4-minute countdown. Heh, that's so a guy from Europe thought he could mess with me, PDD. He's still green, PDD bragged from the LPL bench, swapping accounts and adjusting settings while telling his teammates about his solo match performance. Weren't you almost stomped in the first game? Mingkai shot back. An accident. That guy picked a weird hero after Lao Jiang unloaded that Riven on NA's mid Nunu. Lane sustain was disgusting, PDD grumbled. It's normal. In solo match format, Nunu's stats are weird. With AP runes and masteries, he can start with close to 50 AP. His E hits hard and Q heals a lot, Jiang Ming explained. I won because my opponent underestimated Riven's level 1 damage and traded with me without minions and without armor. Anyway, Lao Jiang and I both advanced. Ming Kai, Wei Xiao, don't screw up tomorrow, PDD said. Lao Jiang, can you send me your Riven Fast QA tutorial? Ming Kai asked. For a fee, Jiang Ming joked. At least 20 boxes of pork floss pastries from your online shop. 20 boxes? Are you eating that as a meal? Pang Ran asked, half serious. 20's nothing. Don't underestimate IG's supply chain, Wei Xiao muttered. Everyone laughed. Backstage, the NA players were less jovial, looking tense and quiet. After being crushed in 2 mid-lane solo matches, the big talk sounded smaller. Facing JM, who was notorious for his Rift dominance, didn't help. Please start the blue side single-player match, the English referee called. Dyrus created the room and invited his teammates. The BP screen slid out and the arena fell silent again. Esports audiences were careful to keep noise down during the draft. North America banned Jarvan 4, the commentator announced. NA's staff wanted to cut off versatile heroes. Jarvan was a signature for PDD and Ming Kai. Wawa laughed. I think NA should be banning JM's champions. Leaving Zed and Gragas open is dangerous. In the LPL, when JM was starting mid, Zed and Gragas were often permanent bans, Xiao Kong added. If you don't restrict JM mid, once he and his jungler get the advantage, they snowball hard. By the way, Joker pointed out, behind the LPL bench are assistant coach Abu and analyst BSYY, and the head coach is also a mid laner, JM. Outside viewers watching the TV feed were stunned. A team captain who was also head coach? Not the balding, laptop-wielding image of a coach they expected, but impressive. Draft picks continued. LPL banned Thresh, knowing NA's primary carry focus was the bot lane. Without strong initiating supports, the NA bottom duo would be more vulnerable. Second round, Ezreal. Looks like NA's targeting Wei Xiao, Wawa said, half joking. It sounded like LPL was gunning for Wei Xiao specifically, which amused the crowd. NA didn't really have a formal coach. The suited, bearded man behind them was a TSM staffer handling logistics. Tactics and bans were still largely player-driven. LPL banned Janna again. Seems JM's targeting double lift, Joker quipped. Without Thresh and Janna, double lift is susceptible in teamfights if he doesn't have defensive peel. Hui fans brightened. Our Wei Xiao can lane with almost any support, they thought. If the enemy removes Thresh and Janna, who can survive the top, mid, and jungle pressure? Dyrus turned to his mid. Buddy, should we ban Riven? Riven? Scara's face darkened. No joke. Riven's a top champ. Banning her should be your call, Doublelift's or mine. Doublelift shrugged. Honestly, Renekton concerns me more than Riven. Ban the croc then, Dyrus said, and NA's last ban took Volibear out of the pool. St. Vicious's decent option denied. 3 bans and not a single explicit mid-ban. JM didn't flinch. In S3 it was hard to ban every mid-champion. You usually targeted 1 or 2 dangerous assassins. NA's focus on their own players' champs made strategic sense. Skara, itching for redemption, declared, "If Zed's there, I'll pick it." I said, "First pick, get me Zed," he repeated. The team chuckled. Skara was NA's top Katarina player and comfortable with assassins. Grabbing Zed as a first pick wasn't outrageous in S3. Reliable counters to Zed were few, Malzahar, Annie, Fizz, and those picks weren't necessarily practical here. Blue side took first pick Zed. LPL answered with a Caitlyn plus Zyra bot lane, heavy lane suppression. NA responded with Varus and a strong jungler, Lee Sin. Then the draft rights swapped back. Wawa commented on LPL's next move. LPL picks Riven in top. PDD wants a fast Q combo. Jungler is Elise, leaving the mid-counter pick open. He stopped himself. The blue side had first picked Zed. Usually the purple side would save the valuable mid-counter pick or give it to top. But then PDD suddenly laughed and Pang Ran locked in Malphite for him. Hiss! Malphite! The LPL last pick was Malphite, which meant Riven wasn't going top. JM was taking her mid. The 3 casters made synchronized shocked faces. The crowd roared. Riven into Zed mid? Skara barked, "Don't come at me. Can Riven even mid?" If this had been earlier, the answer would have been no. Mid is usually a burst damage lane. But after watching Jiangming's Riven display, Skara admitted on air he'd seen the champion's potential as a mid-game assassin. "I'm going to play like trash this game. You guys better carry me," Skara joked. Top lane players often preferred stomping lane matchups, but watching someone win the game from a different lane could be more entertaining. PDD teased from the chair, "Mid and jungle. If you don't dominate this game, I want Mingkai to wash his hair upside down on stream." "Deal," Mingkai said. "But how can you sign a treaty without including me?" Wei Xiao shrugged. "I vote yes, too." Pangran added, "Factory director, Ming's my boss. I obey." Champion swaps finished. The final lineups flashed on the big screen. Blue side LCS.NA, top Kennen, jungle Lee Sin, mid Zed, bot Varus plus Blitzcrank. Purple side CNLPL, top Malphite, jungle Elise, mid Riven, bot Caitlyn plus Zyra. As the loading screen began, the director zoomed into the crowd to find one particular fan. "Found him," the director said. A sturdy young man stood up waving a flag, grinning broadly when he saw himself on the screen. Jiao Yang, a well-known support crowd leader, raised his banner and shouted. The way stadiums responded to him was predictable. Players in the stands typed the same on the live stream chat. "I salute that support guy." Jiao Yang projected his voice across the arena. "LPL, go for it. LPL, go for it." After 3 chants, he chuckled, checked his phone with other fans around the venue, and then led another cheer for the visiting team. "Nah, go for it. NA, go for it." The NA cheers were quieter, but polite and immediate. Confused? Ask. Friendship first, competition second. These kids were pros at chanting. The loading ended and Summoner's Rift appeared. "Leave quickly, get into position, and be careful not to get hooked by Blitzcrank." Jiang Ming's voice came through his team voice channel. On screen, Riven was the first to buy and dash out of the fountain. After practice, even PDD had picked up his pace and the whole team moved as one. Both sides are entering in a standard single-file formation. "Looks like nobody wants a level 1 fight," Wawa observed. Xiao Kong, still focused on Jiang Ming, added, "We can see starting items now." Malphite bought a crystalline flask, 3 health potions, and 2 mana potions. Kennen bought a Doran's blade. Mid lanes. Both Zed and Riven took refillable potions. Wawa finished. Chapter 128. The Sword in a Loving Mother's Hand, Striking the Prodigal Son, Requesting Monthly Tickets. Jiang Ming locked onto Riven and went mid, and the moment he opened Zed's item panel and saw a big red potion start, his grin widened. A big red potion at start. Perfect. He didn't fear Zed fighting him head-on. What he feared was Zed playing too safe and never giving him an opening. If Zed refused to fight, Mingkai might as well have to wash his hair while standing on his head. When Riven goes mid, apart from a few specific champions, she tears through physical assassins like a mother beating a wayward son, ruthless, precise. Especially now that Jiang Ming had mastered her QA combos, Riven was terrifying, the durability of a bruiser with the burst of an assassin. Zed's supposed mobility paled beside her. In her current unnerfed state, Riven's three-part Q had tiny cooldowns between small dashes, making gap closing and wall hops as easy as breathing. Her E gave a long 2.5-second shield, and her W provided a solid stun. If Zed wasn't careful, he could be solo killed before he knew what hit him. Some people asked, what kind of player counters by picking last? In pro play, the blue side gets first pick, so the purple side exists to counterpick. The goal isn't to prove you're the strongest at pick time, it's to win the game. Winning the championship speaks for itself. Minions finally spawned at 155, 15 seconds slower than in later seasons, and converged mid. With that slow arrival time, lanes often stole jungle camps to hit level 2 faster, leaving the jungler with little. That was the state of Season 3. Junglers like St. Vicious had to work for every advantage. If your laners took 2 of your camps at level 1, the jungler's economy was ice on top of snow. You couldn't tell them not to take them, though. If the other side took camps first and hit level 2 before you, a simple trade could snowball into a solo kill. Skara, playing Zed, hadn't lost his head. Seeing Jiang Ming counterpick Riven and knowing how terrifying her early damage was, he stayed behind his minions, planning to farm with Q and wait until level 3 before trying anything. The damage on the other side was absurd. The safe play was obvious. Jiang Ming didn't rush a skill. He bullied forward and last hit minions at the lowest possible health. NXG's training drilled this. When the opponent plays safe and a kill isn't immediately available, punish them by denying CS. When Zed finally tried to thin the wave with 2 shurikens, Riven suddenly dashed across and body blocked the minions as a white shield flashed over her head. The first shuriken hit her, getting its damage reduced against the champion, and therefore failing to finish several melee minions. 3 last hits up at level 1, a huge lead. St. Vicious glanced over at mid with a sympathetic look. Hang in there, I'll watch for plays on the side lanes. At level 1, Jiang Ming had taken E, the shield, which let Zed come forward to farm but stifled any trade. Riven's E lasted 2.5 seconds. Even if its cooldown at rank 1 was long, the shield effectively neutralized Zed's Q and his auto trades. That was the point. Learning E at 1 baited Zed into stepping up to get CS and experience, creating the opening he wanted. When the second wave died and Riven hit level 2, Jiang Ming immediately learned Q. 2 Qs cleared minions while dashing him in. The third Q slammed down hard when it brushed past Zed. He auto-attacked and used E to back off. Skara, who had wanted to take E at 2 and trade, misread it and whiffed. Riven darted like a fish, and her shield ate much of Zed's Q damage. After that exchange, Zed's health dropped by a third. Chat erupted. Hiss, this Riven's damage is ridiculous. Where's the jungler? Hurry, jungler. Zed's Q clears the wave, but that shield plus dash is pretty cheesy. With Zed already struggling at level 2, the audience could see the game tilting. Jiang Ming positioned Riven in front of the mid-minion wave. He'd baited Zed into coming forward. Now he would punish him for it. And as for jungler pressure, LPL's Elise was intended partly to compensate for Riven's AP scaling, so a mid-dive was always on the table. NA's Lee Sin tried a bot-side play, but was intercepted by Ming Kai acting as traffic cop and got crushed. The broadcast director, seeing mid-jungle was the decisive battlefield, focused the camera there. At level 3, Jiang Ming ignored the turret and went for a trade. Q in, W for the stun, auto, then EQ to turn and disengage. The turret spewed warnings but kept losing aggro like a dud firework. Riven's trades cost her almost nothing. A few minutes later, Riven was at 2/3 health, while Zed under his turret had only half. LPL Dream Team's comms lit up. Do we dive? Dive. Lao Pu, you bait top. On it. PDD playing top, agreed without complaint. This wasn't sudden selflessness. In NXG's intensive training, he'd learned the pleasure of the top lane underdog. Taking a bad matchup, manipulating the lane, then watching the helpless opponent flail as you outplay them. He'd learned wave control, drawing minion aggro, dodging Qs, and now he could occasionally lie back and win a game. Kennen versus Malphite. Stoneman. Should be rough for Malphite, but PDD had leveled up. He could weather pressure much better now. Top lane's minion manipulation went badly for Kennen. His Qs missed, he took minion damage thanks to Granite's shield, and he couldn't trade advantageously. NA's Lee Sin felt every lane was a bad gank. Bot lane Varus and Blitz versus Zyra and Caitlyn were already low. Any hook attempt could turn into a catastrophe if counter-ganked. Top wasn't promising either, and mid, Zed looked primed for a turret dive. St. Vicious hesitated to pressure Scara in comms. He was afraid of breaking his teammates' morale. Scara had first picked Zed and was getting outplayed. Still, he suspected LPL planned an Elise Riven mid-dive. Helping the strong, not the weak, is a golden rule. Sometimes counter-ganking a winning side just hands them a kill. So St. Vicious called for a top gank instead. The director split-screened mid and top so viewers could watch both clashes. Mid was the focus. Scara sensed the danger and tried to retreat. Then a white spiderweb from Elise's F4 landed, predicting his escape and snaring him under the turret. The crowd and players both knew it was over. Author's note, third chapter added. For those who follow on Chidien, you know I try to be diligent. For some transitional chapters, I lost a bit of control. My apologies. I didn't mean to cliffhang. Yesterday I planned to post 3 chapters and finish the match, but my kid was fussy and I'm a part-timer, so I really couldn't write more that night. Today's update is about 14,000 characters, and I was typing until 11:45 p.m. I truly wasn't trying to hold back. I was just exhausted. Please bear with me. If you enjoyed it, please consider giving monthly tickets and turning on auto-subscribe. Lao Ching thanks you profusely. Chapter 129, The Quickness Collision Incident Scene. Was it over? Yes. The moment the Spider Queen landed her crowd control, Zhongming's Riven immediately pressed the quickness. Ignite burned. A greater red potion was gulped down, full attack power and health boosted. On the screen, Riven moved like a dancer of death. QA flowed together, with the crisp clacks of abilities and the changing health bar of Zed marking the rhythm. After the second Q came W's stun. Seamless crowd control. Scara felt like his keyboard was about to start smoking. The quickness. The quickness. If he'd been able to hit either the quickness or the greater red potion himself, he might have had a chance. But Zhongming never gave him that opening. A Riven with a greater red potion doesn't need to play out all 3 stages of QA fully. By forgoing one basic attack, she could link into the third Q's knockup without a pause. Being greedy for one more hit could have handed Zed the reaction time to press his potion. The greater red potion's health boost counts as an item and isn't reduced by Ignite. With potion and the quickness ready, Zed could immediately create distance. Then Riven under tower would be in danger. No skills can be used while knocked up. With that final basic landed, Zhongming, who had calculated the Shadow Stream Lord's items, left no room for surprises. At the LCS.NA player booth, Scara's face went slack. The live feed dimmed to the corpse under the tower, and a wave of regret crashed over him. Not banning Riven, picking Zed first. He turned away, unable to watch. He knew too well that the defensive tower Fist had designed was almost useless as retribution. A sigh. The female warrior backed off, a white shield briefly flashing. The tower's second laser cut the shield and dropped Riven to about a quarter health. First blood. CNLPLJM killed LCS.NA Scara. The kill alert flashed, and the Shadow Stream Lord's body lay under the turret. What made the North American commentators even more stunned was that the system did not credit a Spider Queen assist. In other words, beyond providing the initial crowd control, Zed's death had been entirely orchestrated by Riven alone. Oh my god! The 2 English casters in suits and ties exploded in surprise. Riven is insane. Solo kill, no doubt about it. That was a solo kill. JM moved so fast, I couldn't even make out how many skills he used. Haha, you're not the only one. The live audience and viewers across the ocean are probably having the same reaction. This all-star event truly lived up to its name. Domestic CTV broadcast it, and CSPN and ESPN streamed it live in the US. Greater Red Potion, Ignite, the burst from Rapid QA, and W plus 3-stage Q crowd control. Countless viewers marveled at Riven's instant kill execution. On the LPL side, excitement boiled over. Wawa, Joker, Xiao Kang, and the crowd roared, "Nice!" JM's Riven isn't even level 6 yet, and he and Mingkai's Spider Queen pulled off a perfect combo. To be honest, I've seen this before. If you don't use the quickness immediately against JM's offense, you'll never get to use it. And PDD, baiting in top, only took a little damage and didn't die. That's huge. Chat exploded. 666! Show some respect to my defense tower, okay? Zed couldn't move at all from start to finish. Coach, I want to learn this. Coach, is it possible you don't know this? The crime scene of someone being killed by the quickness. Minkai, guys, when you praise people, don't include me. I only used one E, I look silly. He died before level 6. When Riven goes back and buys Brutalizer, too brutal. Why didn't they ban Riven? JM, first pick Zed? In the backstage lounge, the OGN team waited for their next match, watching the stage in disbelief. Brother Shang Mian, Riven is a top lane champion. JM's combo? Insect's jaw dropped. Shai shook his head. I don't play her much. Her weaknesses are obvious. As a bruiser, she doesn't have Renekton's sustain, and her damage, I haven't studied this playstyle. It's hard to handle. To be fair, Shai admitted his best Jace came from watching JM's NXG team. He turned to the mid laner. Canwrong, have you tried her mid? As the senior teammate, Shai's question carried weight, and B Shin replied, no, she's long been a top laner. No one's thought to move Riven mid. Any counters? Shai asked. After scanning his champion pool, An B Shin decided, let's just ban her. A few months ago, he might have confronted JM confidently, but ever since that needly spear on March 23rd, he'd woken up. Some players are just blessed, and his talent wasn't exceptional. Back in the game, PDD, who'd been top, exaggeratedly called as he recalled, woohoo, nice Laojang, that was sick. I should have practiced the quick QA more. Minkai shot back. I told you, the most important thing about Riven is mindset. Mindlessly QAing won't do it. Wei Xiao and Pang Ran echoed in the bottom lane. Opening top was the best news for their bot. If the jungler didn't interfere, they could destroy NA's first tower in minutes. Zhang Ming grinned. Factory, come push this wave. Minkai answered, please stop using that weird nickname. The cannon minion's yours. On my way. On the other side, Saint Vicious and his partner who failed to catch the stone man in top felt helpless watching mid's disaster. How about we swap top and mid? Dyrus suggested in team voice chat. To spare his mid laner's shattered morale, he added, Skara, Riven is naturally a top champion. She's very tanky. You, an assassin, can't beat her. Let me, Kennen, go mid. Skara opened his mouth to argue, but Support Special cut in. You don't have to face someone you shouldn't be facing, right? Skara, that stung. They swapped lanes, commentators noted. NA did swap. The long-range Kennen went mid to face Riven, while Zed went top to fight the giant beast who soaks experience and farm a few minutes. In LPL mid, Zhang Ming raised an eyebrow. Reasonable. Zed couldn't lane mid at all. Going top was better than waiting to die. Kennen is a ranged champion, and with Riven's the quickness on cooldown, normal laning was doable. It's rare that a player completely loses lane and keeps getting solo killed, dragging jungler and support down. League isn't only about laning. If it were, tactics would be meaningless. PDD saw Zed top and asked, Laojang, want to swap? Zhang Ming shrugged, no need, you'll be more comfortable versus Zed. He wasn't cocky. If he'd started mid against Kennen at level 1, short range versus long range on the short mid lane would be annoying. But with Kennen swapping and Riven already set to buy Brutalizer, Kennen needed to respect himself. First Blood gave him 400 gold plus minion farm. Even though he'd started with a greater red potion, he now fully bought the Brutalizer, an early power spike. Attack damage, CDR, armor penetration. He had money left for a health potion and a control ward. There was one more thing NA probably overlooked. Kennen top likely had magic resist runes. Riven's flexibility meant Kennen's poke would be less effective, and with Riven's armor boosted by some yellow runes, Kennen's basic attacks would be weak. I'm going to help pressure bot, Minkai signaled. Go. For most champions, getting first blood without using the quickness could raise gank fears. That didn't apply to Riven, who had bought Brutalizer. Jungle economy in S3 was meager. By the time Riven hit 6, the enemy jungler, Blind Monk, would be at most level 4. A level 4 Lee Sin and level 6 Kennen, if they dared to come. A double kill in a 1v2 wouldn't be bad either, Zhang Ming mused. On stage and off, Zhang Ming's onstage persona and offstage self weren't identical. On stage he blossomed with the adrenaline of competition, like a 19-year-old. He arrived in lane and checked Kennen's items, Dorn's blade and scattered AP components, no defensive items. No defense? Perfect. Zhang Ming mentally thanked Dyrus. Blue side, Dyrus eyed Riven nervously. From the solo match to Zed being melted under tower, he knew the damage Riven could output. With Kennen's squishy build, even a null magic mantle might not help. He hoped to chip Riven down. Then Riven dashed at him with 2 broken wings. Brother, brother. Dyrus thought, he's Kennen, he can kite. He hit E, transformed into a ball, and retreated. Don't engage. Even 3 Qs and an auto could cost a quarter of his health. After creating distance, Kennen tossed a Q. Riven sidestepped, and the auto hit only shield with a harmless thunk. Looking at his experience bar, Dyrus called to the jungler, "Level 6, wait for my ult. Try to gank him once. If he farms unchecked, our backline will struggle in teamfights." "Okay," came the reply. Time passed. Jiang Ming wasn't overly impatient. After pushing a wave, he'd trade under tower or roam the jungle. If he couldn't catch the enemy jungler, taking camps was fine. Kennen mid had a big problem, wave clear. Zed could use shadows to QE for minion clear. Kennen couldn't E minions to apply passive, W, and Q was single target. He could only watch Riven shove. Dyrus tried to step forward and E to proc his passive on minions, but Jiang Ming punished him hard. After a full QA, Dyrus had lost most of his health and played safely. With Riven freed in mid, NA's top and bot lanes suffered. Skara hadn't expected even after moving top, he'd still have to fear Riven. Doublelift and Xpecial's bot duo felt the same pressure. Already suffocating under Caitlyn and Zyra, they feared being collapsed on by a Spider Queen from behind. Had the jungler not come mid to force Zyra's summoner out, things would have been worse. Now add Riven into the chaos, and the game became impossible for them. They lost lane, lost mid-jungle tempo, and watched the purple team creep into their jungle and chip towers. Through these skirmishes, the blue team, though only 1 kill behind, unknowingly fell 1,000 gold short. The bot first tower's health hovered on the brink. Fluidity, the casters said. They play with strategic depth. This is what we call operational tactics in our region. With Jiang Ming as the core advantage radiating across top and bot, once Mingkai secures the jungle and they create numerical superiority, it increases their economic lead over the North American representatives. Economic issues mean gold in-game, which players spend on items to enhance their champions. Once they seize the initiative, ranged bottom laners can push down enemy strategic points. Those points involve map control, the fog of war. The ultimate goal is to destroy the opponent's nexus. In the front rows of the venue, a delegation of propaganda officials watched, 2 young staffers explaining the pro terms in plain language: teamwork, discipline, execution, vision control. Those phrases accompanied the live footage. The officials, already smiling from Jiang Ming's exuberant friendly cheer at the game's start, brightened further. Their last doubts about promoting esports slowly melted away. Chapter 130, The Acting for Feeding is Too Bad, Need to Practice. On the second floor of the Magic City Grand Stage, a meeting room hummed with nervous energy. Several middle-aged men in LPL-branded uniforms crowded around a computer monitor. "How is it? What's the real-time viewership?" Hu Qiming leaned forward, one hand flat on the desk, eyes glued to the screen. He asked the technician, Xiao Wang, again and again. "Boss, hold on. The backend's a bit slow. Some platforms haven't synced yet," Xiao Wang replied. "Calm down, old Hu. Don't get worked up," an operations colleague soothed from behind. "Our domestic numbers already more than cover expectations. 4.7 million. 4.7 million. That's just the domestic viewership. That's why I'm panicking," Hu Qiming laughed, clapping his hands. The fact that nearly 5 million viewers in China were watching on TGA and YY alone made everyone in the room giddy. Putting promo resources into NXG and JM was the right call. Amazing. Magic City even sent researchers on site. This all-star event's going to explode. A bespectacled junior staffer couldn't hold back his excitement and practically spoke for the whole room. Especially the LPL Dream Team's image design and promo video. Once it dropped, it shot to the top of the trending searches. "NXG's boss is a genius," someone said. "Genius understates it," another agreed. "When I heard he set up a studio and wanted to handle the all-star team promos, I was skeptical. But the quality, he came prepared." "I don't know what JM's made of," a voice chimed in. Between the solo skill match, the fist bump ceremony, and the sportsmanlike cheering in the team match, he's hooked the whole audience. "With these numbers, we're going to be busy in the second half of the year," someone else predicted. "Secondary league slots will be snapped up. After the All-Star, teams will want in," another nodded. The chatter kept drifting until the technician shouted, "Stats are in!" First day global real-time viewership, 8.8 million. A collective gasp filled the room. Nestled among the LPL executives were a few blonde-haired, blue-eyed foreigners. At the head of them was Riot CEO Brandon Beck, who'd come to present S2 champion TPA with their rings during tomorrow's halftime. His translator relayed the numbers, and Beck stared at the display, wide-eyed. 4.7 million in mainland China alone, nearly 9 million worldwide. And it was only the first day. Tomorrow and the weekend were still to come. The promotional power had clearly centered on one young man that everyone had been talking about from a distance, CNLPL's JM, Jiang Ming. Meanwhile, in the stadium and on the stream, Summoner's Rift boiled over with action. If bottom's not working, let it go, one NA voice called. Focus on mid. Catch Riven, came the reply. NA's top laner and jungler had a plan. Bait the LPL jungler into bottom, then pressure mid to disrupt the LPL team's rhythm. Riven had been roaming aggressively, stealing minions and camps without scoring kills, and she'd already snagged a dragon. At 10 minutes, the minion wave hit mid again. A purple siege minion limped into low health. Kennen, lusting after gold, stepped forward for the last hit. As Dyrus expected, Riven used E Valor into a broken wings dash. Kennen pretended to retreat and didn't immediately E, letting Riven commit. Riven's QA follow-up shredded a chunk of Kennen's health. Blade of the Exile's final Q knocked Kennen up, and another auto would have sealed it, except the jungler was nearby. The jungle's Lee Sin dashed out of the fog of war. Mid, shouted the commentators. JM's engage came up a bit short. NA's top and jungler want to collapse on Riven. The broadcast director locked the big screen on mid. Kennen hit E, lightning rush, and sped in. Lee Sin reached level 6 right then. Kennen ults, slicing Maelstrom. Columns of lightning crashed down, and Riven was stunned in place. Lee Sin's sonic wave landed, and it looked grim for the young Blade of the Exile. Jiang Ming's face was calm. After Lee Sin's stun, Riven auto-attacked once to consume her passive, and then activated R, Blade of the Exile. The ultimate transformed her into a true war goddess, reforging her broken greatsword. She applied Ignite, and then unleashed a brutal sequence, rapid Qs and autos that shredded Lee Sin's health. The crowd watched in stunned silence as damage numbers skyrocketed. Lee Sin managed a Dragon's Rage and kicked Riven back, sending her flying, but Jiang Ming wasn't done. After his ult landed, his next Q slammed into Kennen, whose skills were on cooldown. The greatsword cracked Kennen's head like a piston. Riven followed with Wind Slash, the second stage of her R, firing a fast projectile that swept the ground. The edge of the blade grazed Lee Sin as he flashed toward the tower. His health exploded to 0. The system announced it. CNLPL, JM had slain LCS.NA St. Vicious. Wawa and Xiao Kang leapt from their seats. Counter kill. Riven did a 1v2 counter kill. Instant wipe. The stadium erupted in cheers for the LPL side. A level 9 Riven had just killed a level 6 Lee Sin and an 8 level Kennen. The level and buff advantages made the feat look almost routine, but it stunned the NA viewers. No one had expected Riven to hit that hard. Riven leveled to 10 immediately after the kill. Kennen was level 8. Dyrus was left staring at Riven's health tick back up as she healed with Bloodthirster. He raged silently at his jungler for letting the kill slip through their fingers. Instead of finishing her off under the tower, they'd given Riven a double kill, and the snowball had begun. Kennen tried to kite, but Riven kept up the chase with red buff slowing him. She danced broken wings to cancel animations, fought for tower aggro, and denied Kennen the safe retreat he needed. Kennen's health dipped below a fifth. Riven vaulted high on her third dash, knocked up Kennen, and the kill came through. CNLPLJM killed LCSA Dyrus. Double kill, killing spree. The audience held its breath as the tower lashed out, but Riven survived with 7 hit points. The venue and the stream exploded with 666 in praise, an unbelievable play, perfectly executed. The rest of the game went the same way. With 3 kills, Riven's items and level were well ahead of schedule. Wei Xiao on Caitlyn quietly amassed a huge CS lead. Mingkai's Elise invaded and counter-jungled with surgical efficiency. Blitzcrank the support wanted to roam, but lanes collapsed too fast. By the time she could, the game had already snowballed. In top lane, PDD's Malphite weathered Kennen and later stacked armor to survive Zed. At 14 minutes, Lee Sin thought to check Dragon and was instantly ambushed by Riven in a bush, dead before he knew it. Seeing Baron coming up, the LPL team swapped Riven to top to split push. Skara, having turtled all game, finally brought Blitzcrank to try and punish Riven. Outside the blue buff bush, Blitz landed a hook on Riven, and Skara detonated his ultimate, only to be stunned in place and shredded by a fully built Riven. CNLPL JM killed LCS.NA Skara. Skara sat back in disbelief on the stage. Counterpicking had turned into a disaster. When Blitzcrank went down as well, a 5-0 full health Riven emerged from the jungle and started demolishing towers. The LPL Dream Team's performance was clean. Dragons consistently secured jungle control, coordinated ganks and counterganks. Wei Xiao kited perfectly in teamfights. Ming Kai was everywhere. PDD's Malphite hit massive ultimates that turned fights. Even teammates who were supposed to throw the game for show, Pang Pang, the support, ended up making the performance work. He faked being caught, flashed the wrong way, ran into skill shots, putting on an intentionally bad show to give the tourists at least one kill to claim. The audience in the arena laughed. This acting needs practice, worse than those table tennis girls on the show. By 22.5 minutes, the first game ended. They hadn't taken Baron, but they didn't need to. PDD's R hit 4 people in the jungle. Pang Pang's method acting gave the opponent their only consolation kill, and the LPL Dream Team marched on to destroy the Nexus. After the match, different reactions rippled through the esports circle. NA fans were despondent. LPL fans were ecstatic. Old WE and IG supporters were pleasantly surprised. Players they thought were stale had shown major improvements. The early narrative, lost jungle, random deaths, clumsy laning, went out the window as the LPL team demonstrated superior cohesion and an aggressive, confident style centered around a breakout mid laner. The broadcast room was still buzzing. Back in the meeting room, Hu Chiming and the LPL staff poured over the numbers again. 4.7 million domestic, 8.8 million global, and the social impact had only just begun. Brandon Beck watched, impressed, as the young NXG boss, Jiang Ming, seemed to be the axis of the promotional wave. A few days ago, some readers had suggested the story should shift away from match play to focus on business and management. The author understands that the core appeal of this book is esports. The matches are the foundation for the protagonist's influence in the industry. S3 is still an era that celebrates individual plays. If the protagonist can't dominate on the competitive stage, no matter how much he builds as a manager later, he won't command the same attention. That's why early groundwork was laid. Top rank on the national server, a reputation at Jinling University, a league tutorial UP host, every detail strengthened his all-star mid-laner identity. This season is about establishing the base. When it's time for him to put on a show, the story won't skip it just because some readers say they're tired of flashy plays. If All-Star is skipped, what about the Grand Finals? The next season? Of course, after S4, the focus will shift more to management, coaching, and club building. For now, the matches are central, so expect plenty of action. Old Ching will keep writing 10,000 characters a day. If you like the story, please support with monthly votes. Chapter 131, 2-0, the terrifying dominance of the Dream Team. Let's congratulate the LPL. Yes, congratulations to them. They've taken the first game. LPL leads 1-0 for now. The 3 commentators' congratulatory voices filled the arena just as North America's blue side crystal shattered. Shao Kong, eager to keep the conversation rolling, jabbed, "Hey, who do you two think will be the MVP of the first game?" "Who will be the MVP? Sister, isn't this obvious?" Even Wawa, a step behind on pure analysis, couldn't hide what the audience already knew. After that match, even the most devoted WE fans wouldn't dare steal MVP from a Riven who'd gone 7-0 and looked on the verge of godhood. 99% of the reason Wei Xiao could relax and output in teamfights was that his mid laner kept charging at the enemy, forcing fights every time. "Ugh, we could really use a mid like JM," Wawa groaned playfully. After the players left mid lane, the production team flashed the MVP stats on the big screen. CNLPL versus LCS.NA, Game 1. MVP, CNLPL, team participation, 80% minions, 27 damage share, 44%. The TGA live chat erupted, 44% damage share. Holy, one player dealt almost half the team's damage, and that's with Caitlyn and the jungler getting early and late kills. Explosive teamfight damage every time he dashed in, NA's health bars got slaughtered. JM just wants to shove the big blade into the opponent's mouth every team fight. Double lift's gonna get PTSD. 80% participation. This is the carry mid archetype. We forget he's also the server's top player because he's the JM club owner and head coach. JM, you only get to see me if you can beat my players. I want to know whether the NA mid on the other side, including Solo, got camped by Riven 3 times. Will they let her through again? Let her through. All stars about showmanship, baby. Backstage in the NA camp, the 5 players sat together, still shaking from that first loss. Doublelift, unusually serious, put a hand on Scarra's shoulder. Scarra, I know you wanted to prove yourself. Today was just a bad set of circumstances. We still believe in you. Scarra's voice cracked. Tears were close. I won't let you down in the next game. No, don't sweat it. We should just ban Riven next game, Doublelift said plainly. Scarra's face fell, but reality sank in, and he nodded. Okay. We can't focus only on JM, Xpecial said, thinking clearly. His blitzcrank had been useless from laning to teamfights. He'd missed hooks and everyone on purple dodged his cues as if they'd rehearsed it. We need a new plan. Either shut down his mid early or have mid play safe while we open the map elsewhere. Pull up our scrim results. Going to the losers bracket isn't an option, someone added. All stars the players stage. We can't be the ones getting shown off, another agreed. But when the skill gap gets big enough, strategy can only do so much. In Game 2, the sides swapped, LPL on blue with first pick priority, and both teams locked in their drafts quickly. Blue, CNLPL, bans Ezreal Twitch Janna, picks top Renekton, Jungle Blind Monk, Mid Twisted Fate, bot Varus plus Nami Purple. LCS.NA bans Riven Zed, LeBlanc, picks top Shyvana, Jungle Jarvan 4, Mid Orianna, bot Vayne plus Sona NA adjusted properly. They banned JM's signature champions and blocked his previous game pocket picks. They were clearly afraid of being schooled again. Heads up for a lane swap, the analysts warned on broadcast. Jiang Ming immediately set up level 1 positions. Shyvana and Vayne both scaled differently, so NA was expecting a lane swap to put pressure elsewhere. LPL's composition was tempo-focused, so letting Renekton absorb early pressure could be dangerous. More importantly, Twisted Fate's role changes in a lane swap game, so a single control ward in the enemy jungle could spoil the swap. In Season 3, preventing a lane swap was simple. Place a lane-detecting ward. Minion waves spawn later than jungle camps, so even if a support crossed through the jungle, it wouldn't affect duo lane XP. With a well-timed ward, you can catch the incoming swap and stop it cold. That's exactly what happened. NA tried to swap Vayne and Sona to top to bully Renekton and put Shyvana bot to absorb pressure, but LPL's commander had predicted this. Their support snuck into NA's jungle and dropped a ward, catching the duo's movement. The swap never materialized. Both teams ended up laning normally. Many viewers were stunned. Lane swaps are powerful because they force decisions and can snowball map control. But LPL had an answer, and more than that, they turned the situation into an opportunity. Twisted Fate, when played smartly on a team that controlled waves and macro, was verging on a bug before his nerfs. His global presence could single-handedly collapse enemy plans. You should have picked LeBlanc or Ahri earlier, someone joked. But the draft stood. Scarra, now mid on purple, felt his chest tighten watching TF shuffle cards. Facing an assassin with an AP control pick never feels good. He could only pick Orianna and try to farm. PDD, play aggressive top. I'll steal their red, JM called. Because of the level 1 lane swap setup, Jarvan 4 was helping Shyvana start on the bottom side. Zhu Kai, Mingkai, played a little trick instead of starting his own bottom camps. He snuck into NA's red buff area and stole Jarvan's red. In this era, jungle resources were scarce, and 2 buffs could get Blind Monk to level 3. Losing that red would blunt Jarvan's early gank power, so it was a huge early blow. Of course, Zhuge Kai's invasion only worked because his lanes had lane priority. Twisted Fate pushed mid with red cards. Varus and Nami on the top lane cleared waves faster than Vayne and Sona could. With wave control and vision, there were gaps in the jungle they could exploit. The commentators were delighted. Big play. Mingkai steals Jarvan's red at level 1, then gets his own blue. Renekton's early push threatens Shyvana, and even if St. Vicious spots Blind Monk's movement, he can't afford to swap down there. Twisted Fate's lane priority is huge. Oriana took E at level 1, which makes it hard to help against JM's early pressure. Jarvan could have come to contest, but if he did, could he escape? That was the risk. In the first minutes, viewers with great game sense realized this LPL lineup wasn't just repeating the last game, their macro and coordination were tighter. Lao Pu, what do you think? Someone asked. Come if you want, PDD laughed. After learning from Lao Zhang in the LPL style, he'd returned to punish unfamiliarity. Map symmetry isn't perfect. Top and bottom behave differently. Casting spells on top has a different geometry than on bottom. Using that, Renekton dodged 2 of Shyvana's E-casts. Without those procs, Shyvana paid for the trades. When the top lane's health trade tilted in Renekton's favor, Ming-Kai's Blind Monk came in to beg for alms. Instead of charging up Red Rage and letting the enemy disengage, PDD, at only 40 Fury, used E on a minion to get close and started his combo. Dyrus, not comfortable in the bottom-side trading positions, misread the gank angles. Twisted Fate's mid-priority let Jiang Ming place a control ward in NA's blue buff area early, and that vision made Ming-Kai's jungle entry safe. Mid lane creating vision, top trading for advantage, jungle following up, perfect tempo. A sonic wave from NA's jungle hit Shyvana. With top and jungle collapsing, and Shyvana's ultimate, the quickness, on cooldown after she used it, the combined damage from Renekton and Blind Monk finished her. 400 gold richer, the monk returned to lane, having paid off the invade. The tactical changes were obvious. Compared with the first game, Jiang Ming and his teammates were communicating and exchanging information much more. If Game 1 had been a matter of individual outplays, a super-fed Riven breaking through, Game 2 was a clinic in macro play. PDD, Wei Xiao, and Ming Kai felt it the most. Their coordinated first blood proved the point. Top, you can fall back, JM signaled the moment Ming Kai struck. Nami disengaged with a bubble on Varus, while Wei Xiao and the bot duo backed off, not even letting Jarvan, who had arrived late, get a chance to cast anything. At 5 minutes, Blind Monk, fresh from ganking the bottom lane, came mid and chunked Oriana down hard, forcing her to recall early. Jiang Ming bought items, confirmed his side lanes and jungle had enough damage, and rushed a pair of Ionian boots of lucidity. He didn't wait for level 6. Still level 5, TF ghosted across the river, and with a blink-like relay from Blind Monk, dove Shyvana underneath her tower. Her ultimate was on cooldown, and she died again. 5 minutes in, 0-2 for NA with 2 minion waves lost. Shyvana was crippled. By the time NA tried to swap Vayne and Sona back to bot, they'd only just been holding farm thanks to 2 jungler ganks. Renekton and Blind Monk had already collapsed mid again. TF's gold card, Renekton's double S and bite, Blind Monk's Q, top, mid, and jungle unleashed everything in concert. TF hit level 6, Jiang Ming sped across the map, and the 5 LPL players executed a perfect tower dive, sending NA's only promising duo lane back to the fountain. At 10 minutes, everyone but NA's bot had already died. The English caster grabbed Wawa's classic line, "Hold on, wait for the late game." Vayne, Oriana, Shyvana, once their items come online, we still have hope, another chimed in on air. Late game? I don't think NA has a late game today, the analyst shot back. If you can't survive the early game, you won't get to the late game. Vayne can't clear waves under this pressure, and side lanes die the moment Twisted Fate ults. In the first few minutes, I felt bad seeing Wei Xiao fall behind in CS, but the next second, the top mid-jungle trio fed him kills. Sorry, I misspoke. I shouldn't have doubted them. It's like watching NXG teach other teams. Teamfights and ganks are just so on point. Under 12 minutes and a 3,000 gold deficit. Game 1 taught NA about individual mechanics. This game's a lesson in team coordination. Also, have you ever seen PDD constantly carry control wards in the mid-game? That's dedication. There weren't many kills, only 9 total in Game 2, but the match ended 4 minutes faster than the first. At 19:07, the North American players, alternating between getting collapsed on and black screened back to base, had their composure eroded until the final crystal exploded. They never really recovered clarity. The second game was wrapped inside the span of 1 chapter. The point was made. Bigger things were coming next. Asking for a friend, how would you rate LPL's all-star performance on day 1? Full marks. Absolutely. Giving it an 82. The rest will be sent to them in the form of 6s. What else is there to evaluate? All solo matches won, and the team match was a 2-0 thrashing of LCS.NA. A perfect performance. JM was ruthless. I saw NA's mid get completely shut down after the match. Same champion 3 times, solo, and in teams. He even forced them into playing a team champ that never got a single fight. Of course he got shut down. I thought with the all-star team reassembled, without NXG's discipline, JM and Door would struggle. Turns out strong players are strong wherever they go. JM reminded everyone why he's the national server's #1. The surprise was Wei Xiao and PDD. Bottom lane synergy was on point, and PDD, who usually gets caught in top, wasn't caught once. Enemy jungler here. Haha, you should see the situation I was in before you comment. After beating North America 2-0, Jiang Ming and the rest returned to the hotel expecting to dive back into a tense training routine. Instead, at Jiang Ming's instruction, Pang Ran took PDD and a few others and introduced them to NXG's unusual forum-based mindset training. PDD and the others had read message boards and argued online before, but deliberately hunting down critical posts about themselves and using those critiques to train their mentality was a new concept. This guy looks so sunny and cheerful on the surface, but dig deeper and he's all dark, PDD complained. Wei Xiao and Ming Kai felt the same. Who would voluntarily read posts that ganged up on them? But after Pang Ran shared his experience with NXG teammates, and they thought back to the stage performances, the method started to make sense. Take Norsha, for example. When OMG focused him down to 0-4, he still kited and played his lane perfectly until teammates could arrive, then turned the match around. Inspired, Ming Kai, Wei Xiao, and PDD began searching forums for those special analysis posts. 10 minutes later, in the LPL players' room, with the AC set to 22 degrees Celsius, tempers were still rising. PDD, what do you mean I get caught every day? If you look at my IG matches, is there anyone catching me more often than Ming Kai, this farmer pig? With Laozhang, it's all amazing plays. With me, they praise an extra ward. As a jungler, I always wait for teammates to start. Am I timid like a turtle? The 3 male players huffed and argued as Pang Ran pressed them into reading more. Jiang Ming, seeing heat rising, shared a cooling remedy, a news link. TV5 report, all-star event. China's representative team delivers a perfect performance in their first match. Beijing time, May 24, 2013. China's first large-scale esports event, the League of Legends All-Star activity, kicked off at the Shanghai Grand Stage. The Chinese All-Star team, representing the LPL, won both the individual skill competitions and the team competition on their first day. The LPL team even greeted their opponents with the country's distinctive fist bump, showing sportsmanship. In the individual skills, top laner PDD faced GPL's Stanley, mid laner JM. In the team match, the LPL representatives showed outstanding individual skill and textbook team synergy. JM dominated the early game. According to the coach's post-match interview, the results came from discipline superior to their opponents, plus unified cooperation and communication. Wei Xiao. Jiang Ming knew exactly what the first generation of LPL pros wanted most: recognition. With an average of over 2 years in the scene, nothing invigorated Wei Xiao, PDD, and the others more than mainstream acknowledgement. For a group yearning to be taken seriously, seeing TV5 broadcast their victory, the shots of them with small flags fist-bumping the 5 NA players, meant everything. That night, the LPL players' room down the hotel corridor was unusually quiet. The usual clatter of keyboards and game sound faded. An LPL official checking in looked through the slightly ajar door and saw 4 cocoons on the single beds, players curled up like shrimp, phone screens casting blue light on faces contorted with stifled laughter. In 2013, when computers weren't yet ubiquitous, TV5 had a broad audience. Although the broadcast summary lasted only a few minutes and didn't even cover later Korean OGN matches, the phrase China's representative team was enough to shake things up. For society at large, the news opened eyes. For the esports circle, it sounded a heavy drum. Many adults who had dismissed esports as a freakish pastime suddenly paid attention. NXG's promotion of Jiang Ming played a huge role. Chinese parents don't care about championships. They care about respectable paths. A headline like, "Excellent student at Jinling University, sophomore," enters the emerging esports industry, establishes a club, forms a team, and serves as captain and head coach of China's all-star team is a key that unlocked cognitive shackles. To traditional minds, a child who balances academics and ambition is admirable. Northeast, early morning. The light was clear and cold, the iron blue sky still faint. Deep in an alley, the heavy iron door of an old internet cafe clanged as it was kicked open. Father Lee's bamboo stick still held dew from the family garden. Seeing the computer room's light suddenly on after 2 days of being closed, Father Lee, holding back anger, rushed upstairs. He opened the door. His son was bent over a computer, shouting into a headset, "Go, go, go! Protect me! Protect the backline! Don't rush the Baron! Wait, take Baron first, then high ground!" Li Weijun. The bamboo stick hit the metal chair with a sharp crack. The boy turned his head mid-team fight, the headphone cable nearly yanking off his steaming instant noodles. A few drops of red, sauce, or blood splashed the screen, contrasting with the game's Azure victory text. "Dad, let me explain," the boy stammered. Looking at his son's dark circles and the truancy notice from the teacher, Father Lee transformed from a worried parent into an enraged disciplinarian. 3 stinging strikes followed: the hand, the foot, and finally the backside, the kind that leaves a painful memory but not permanent damage. "You dare skip class now?" Father Lee barked. "You hide here playing these broken games?" The blows weren't meant to maim so much as to wake the kid up. Li Weijun howled and corrected himself through the tears. "Ouch, I was wrong. I'm really wrong. I'll go back. I'll go back to class right now." "Back to class? It's Sunday, and you remember class now? Even if you go back, you'll skip again on Thursday." Father Lee continued, "You brag about your rank. You said you could go pro. Fine. Tomorrow you're going to NXG's youth training. If you don't make it, you're on your own." Hearing his father's words, Li Weijun blurted, "But Dad, you can't compare me to JM. He's a Superman." "Compare? Why not? You always brag about your rank. You always said playing professionally was a path. Now I'm giving you this chance." To Father Lee, his son, this useless main account who knew hero cooldowns but couldn't recite the periodic table, needed a reality check. NXG's youth training would be the test. Meanwhile, at Yujian Internet Cafe in the VIP room, "Go, go, go! Give me a pentakill! Give me a pentakill! Hold them, Xiaoduan. Cue them for me. I need this pentakill." The pentakill announcement rolled through the cafe. Guolin threw off his headphones, pumped a fist, and shook the slender kid beside him. "Xiaoduan, you're my lucky star. My first pentakill." Xiaoduan rubbed his nose, modest. "Brother Guo, as long as you're happy." "I'm so happy. Let's see if those guys still mock my vein now." Guo Lin rummaged into his pocket and slapped 7 or 8 red bills onto the table. "Stay up with me tonight. A few brothers are coming over. You'll be responsible for carrying us." Brother Guo, if we queue as a party, I can't promise wins every game." "Don't worry. Losing occasionally is fine. My friends will listen to you. What did JM say in his video? A good commander can win more than a single carry. With your master-level skill, a gold-silver party is easy." Guolin, in high spirits, recruited people in his group chat. The chance to play ranked all day with someone like Xiaoduan was precious to him. "By the way, have you considered going pro?" he asked. "Are you serious?" Xiaoduan pulled the money into his pocket, thinking of travel costs. "I bought a ticket to Su Province tomorrow. I'm trying out at Jiangming's club. My friends recommended NXG." "NXG? That's great. An invincible LPL team, 3 straight wins. Even WE isn't that strong." An internet cafe owner said he's forming a team too. "If tryouts go poorly, come back and we can play City League together." "Okay," Xiaoduan said. About 700 meters from the NXG main base, Mo Zie stood before 3 two-story terraced houses. Construction workers pushed the last furniture in. The fresh paint had no sharp smell, only a faint wood scent. Lin Jingji emerged, wrapped in a down jacket, and flipped the training room lights on. Moonlight filled the windows. Inside, rows of long tables and a dozen computers, still wrapped in plastic, stood ready. NXG rules and regulations were already posted on the walls. "How are the dorms?" Mosier asked. "They'll be ready tonight. 6 rooms, each with 4 bunk beds, enough for everyone. Hot water and power? All good, just some minor details left. I'll need 1 or 2 more management staff," Lin Jingyi said. "No problem. Leave professional matters to professionals. Laozhang entrusted the youth training system to you. He emphasized three things. First, establish a player personality assessment system to monitor stress resistance and team collaboration. Second, open multi-dimensional promotion channels. The second team and youth camp must keep at least 10% flexible tryout slots and open roles like tactical analyst, sparring partner, and assistant coach so players get opportunities in different areas. Third, for high-ranked players with poor character, miss them rather than compromise. Lin Jingyi finished. Set the bottom line. Those who accept it stay. Those who don't, leave. Mozi smiled foxily. High rank equals talent. Even if someone couldn't be used as a starter, keeping them in the youth camp as a whetstone for others was acceptable. The NXG youth camp provided food, lodging, and a modest stipend, reasonable to ask contributors to help the team. While Zhang Ming was in Magic City for the All-Star, NXG's internal operations accelerated with the attention he brought. Lin Jingyi felt a bit stunned at how fast NXG had developed. Half a year ago, it had been a small attic. Now they were planning a second team and a youth camp. Mozie, the youth training manager, felt like he'd been handed a command seal. Now he needed soldiers. My little trainees, Big Brother's bowl is ready, he mused. After washing up and getting into bed, Zhang Ming checked the manager's progress reports in the work group. Send me the invited tryout list first, he typed. Mozie replied in half an hour. No problem. Zhang Ming wasn't being redundant. As the national server's #1 player, he had a good sense of which high-ranked IDs were worth watching. Previewing the tryout list let him pick out names to keep an eye on. With Tencent and Riot pushing League of Legends further after the All-Star, youth training and a second team were investments that had to be made now, even if funds were tight. The City League Championship later in the year, which affected LPL summer split slots, would draw many hungry teams. If NXG could sign soon, they'd profit when contracts were sold after S3. Missing a few prodigies would be painful. Half an hour later, the tryout list arrived. Zhang Ming's eyes lit up at several familiar names and IDs. Top, Long, Nexus, Silence, Jungle, MLXG, Hero, Silent, Mid, Free, Siang, The King, UAD, Viswan P, Lustra, Support, Duong Moon 5, Brits. Casting a wide net catches many fish. The list included a few oddly styled IDs that sparked a sense of familiarity in Zhang Ming, though he couldn't immediately place them. No matter, he'd investigate when he was back. The small, unexpected details didn't dim his excitement. He felt like a gacha player opening a new pack. No SSRs yet, but several SRs in this first phase of youth training would be a huge win for NXG. Cough. Attentive readers may have noticed a few incredible IDs on the list. That's an inside joke, an inspiration lifted from an unfinished story. Maybe there'll be an extra chapter one day. Chapter 133, The Pioneer Charity Skin. The youth roster Laumo sent over wasn't perfect. Two of the biggest SSR cards in the LPL for 2013 and 2014 were obvious standouts. Uzi, now with Royal Never Give Up, and Gade Wei, who had gone pro with VG. Then there was Lishuan Zhuanjun, who debuted in late 2014 or early 2015. It was hard not to be a little jealous. From a club owner's perspective, players like those were cornerstones, one the epitome of mid-lane talent, the other a natural AD carry. Both had rough edges, though. Years of training would be needed before they could be molded. There was no rush. Even with intensive work, NXG's current 5 starters were only SR level at best. Starting the next season fielding nothing but SRs would be rough. If you couldn't draw SSRs yourself, you bought them. Before Season 5, the market value for League players, especially LCK veterans, wasn't as astronomical as it later became. One major reason Imp came to China was a ludicrous offer from Samsung after winning S4. Jiang Ming wouldn't let a talent like Giant God Soldier slip away. As for an all-Chinese team, that was mostly marketing. National teams had naturalized players. Clubs did too. Royal Never Give Up marketed themselves as all-Chinese while being one of the first in the LPL to import Koreans. SKT, longtime titan of the LCK, had been among the first to recruit from outside their region. Jiang Ming rechecked the list and pulled out familiar IDs, The King, Free, Nexus, circling them on a draft sheet. Even if there were only parallel world doubles, the IDs implied a known quality. With training, these players could join as staff, shine in youth programs, or be groomed for the secondary leagues. The current task for NXG was to put together a credible second team and secure a spot in the city championship later this year. Even if they couldn't get an immediate LPL slot, they had to lock down the secondary league. Fist's rule, one club, one team per top-tier league, was only introduced after the Samsung Blue vs. White clash in S4. That left a long window from now into next year to develop enough players and snatch opportunities. Once they had slots, selling team spots could be very profitable. Using his memory of the original timeline, Zhang Ming mapped out 2 rosters on draft paper to chase LPL spots and circled the youthful prospects in red. He sent the circled list back to the club and told Laumo to sign youth training contracts with anyone who qualified. Talent reserve. That's how you hedge your bets. Even if 99 out of 100 flopped, one Phoenix would make it worthwhile. Players trained in-house with standardized methods were valuable everywhere. Top leagues, secondary leagues, as coaches, as scrim partners. Wang Xikong's IG had already pre-ordered a whole team configuration from him. There was no shortage of demand. If NXG hadn't been already strapped for personnel and short on trained staff, the list would have been twice as long. Sleep, sleep, life's precious. Zhang Ming didn't realize how long he'd been hunched over the hotel desk until his eyes stung and dried. He just replaced all his equipment and didn't want to regret forgetting something because he'd overworked himself. He shut the laptop and headed to bed. Next door, the OGN rep team, caught in their usual internal struggles, were still up late. They'd beaten LCS.EU the first day, but joy wasn't on their faces. The pressure from the LPL was enormous. They'd scrimmaged against the North American rep and found the LPL's lane play frightening. On tape, the mid lane could go godlike. Tempo-wise, a twisted fate could toy with NA until they had no idea what was happening. 5 of them sat around the monitor, replay after replay. The biggest problem when you play the LPL is mid, Madlife said, pausing a clip where Riven's QR had hit 4 NA players. James' mechanics, his command timing in team fights, flawless. He reached for a quote they'd seen. In Season 3, whoever controls mid controls the world. From previous matches, whether it's NXG with him coaching or him playing, it proves the point. Get mid priority and you radiate pressure to the rest of the map. Teammates feel comfortable in jungle contests. The enemy side lanes are constantly threatened. Another chimed in. When both top and bottom try to trade and your mid can't match the tempo, your side lanes are always passive. Don't trade and you're suppressed. Trade and you get collapsed on by mid and jungle. Shy nodded. We've actually been studying JM and NXG a long time. They'd first noticed because NXG crushed WE. This team loves to revolve around one lane's advantage. When your lane state drops, NXG sends 1 or 2 people, mid or jungler, to the other lanes, and they keep creating odd-man fights. After kills, they invade jungle vision, and through vision control, they track the enemy jungler and snowball. Insec grimaced empathetically. He'd watched the confused NA jungler on stage and wondered how to break out of it. So Chanyong, your mid is going to be under enormous pressure, Madlife told their mid. You don't have to beat him outright. Tie him down and we'll have a chance. Understood. And B. Sheehan nodded quietly. He didn't make bold promises. After the Skara matches, where Riven had been allowed through stubbornly, he'd regained some composure. A mid, who could look solid in scrims, still shrank into a 10-0 against JM. Maybe he could be a 9-1 or an 8-2. Honestly, if we limit mid, we still have a good shot. The other positions in LPL aren't that different from ours. In some ways, we might even have the edge. Madlife's confidence was tempered by Prey. Tall, laconic, who finally spoke up. I don't think we should be too optimistic. James' strongest asset isn't pure lane skill. Prey tapped his temple. His real strength is his mind. He's always aware of teammates' situations and reacts instantly. He's effectively a coach on the field. PDD's raw top laning and pressure are top tier, but reckless. James' influence seems to have tempered that. Jungler Mingkai can wander if tempo's off. Bottom Wei Xiao has trouble with detail and emotional control. Those problems seemed gone in yesterday's match. A frustrated groan escaped the room. They'd studied the game down to champion matchups, team comps, and vision control, and had been confident heading into the All-Star, until the LPL showed up as a step beyond everything they knew. The mood dimmed. In Korea, losing could have extreme consequences. Fans were passionate. If they lost, who knew what Mad Axe fans might do? Trucks blocking doors, razor blades in packages. Mad Life imagined worse. Winning brought glory. Losing, ignominy. Mad Life had even considered picking an all-early game comp to fight LPL head-on, but then how much gold would they need in the first 20 minutes to guarantee a win? 3,000? 5,000? At least we're lucky. Tomorrow we play the loser bracket winner, so we get one more round of LPL and GPL to study. Another day might give us ideas from GPL. They'd reached this round because GPL, having been part of S2's championship, got a bye and would face a first-round winner. The cost? No second chance. Shy remembered SKT had scrimmed NXG and asked a staffer if they could share data. Ask SKT, someone snorted. Would they? Besides, scrims usually have NDAs. The staffer was blunt. No chance. The All-Star champion locks in a third global finals spot. That's regional pride. Teams like SKT don't owe anyone. And James, he's building the scene. He won't necessarily share tactics. We don't want their replays. We want to scrim them and have them imitate NXG's style. They won't hand that over. May 25th, All-Star Day 2. Jiang Ming woke early. As head coach, captain, and owner of NXG, he kept a single room as a small perk. After a quick wash, he took the path behind the hotel into the nearby residential area and went for a run. Back at the base, his morning exercise rules weren't just lip service. All staff and players were required to do physical training. Even a half-hour run every day mattered in the long term. Sweat sparked his senses. Breathing quickened. Lactic soreness pricked. Dopamine made the pain feel worthwhile. Jiang Ming believed a healthy body powered better work. Esports teams, players and support alike, often burned life savings with long, irregular hours. Next year, if growth continued, he planned to expand the base and build a full health management system. Physical therapy rooms, health managers, dedicated weight and fitness spaces, raise salaries, maximize benefits. He returned drenched around 10. In the hotel lobby, he bumped into PDD, who'd gone downstairs early to find breakfast. Morning, Lao Pu, he called. Morning, Lao Jiang. Out running again? Yeah, I feel better after it. PDD eyed his boss with a mix of envy and resignation, then glanced at his own potbelly. During the training camp, PDD had tried to join the morning runs but collapsed after 900 meters and never tried again. He reasoned his bulk helped him tank for the team. At the elevator doors, Jiang Ming didn't see anyone else. Esports players were notorious night owls, and All-Star Day 2 didn't start until 2 p.m. Nobody expected them up before noon. He dropped his sweat-soaked clothes into the laundry basket, showered, and luxuriated in the heat for a few minutes. Suit on, he went down to meet the team. Holy cow, Lao Jiang, why the suit? PDD transformed into a mock announcer, pointing at the dark suit. Ming Kai and Wei Xiao stared curiously. Abu, having finished breakfast, teased, What is this? A team fight in suits? Jiang Ming smiled. Xiao Pang, grab the team uniforms. Okay, Mingyi. Pang Ran took the kit and watched curiously as Jiang Ming spoke. Today's the Fist Games awards ceremony. I have to go up there. Woohoo, the team cheered. Awards? What award? Jiang Ming didn't explain the last-minute LPL invitation. He simply kept it vague. He'd been careful to separate his multiple identities, JM the promoter and JM the pro player, so he always brought a spare set of formal wear. At 2 p.m. in the Shanghai Grand Stage, Ma Fanshu stood on the main stage in a sapphire gown beside an LPL executive and the Fist Games CEO. The 5 members of Assassin Star, the S2 Global Finals champions, stood both excited and awkward. Half a year after their S2 triumph, the belated trophy ceremony felt strange. The crowd wasn't there for them, and the whole production had an ill-fit feel. Still, when the host announced, Let's congratulate the 5 TPA players, champions of League of Legends S2 Global Finals, their smiles were real. Offstage, Ming Kai, Wei Xiao, and PDD beside Jiang Ming watched with genuine dejection. One of their teams had fallen to the legendary M5 on strength. The other had been eliminated by CLG after connectivity chaos. Having last year's trophy presented here underlined those disappointments. Jiang Ming couldn't help thinking, bitterly, that it wouldn't surprise him if one of those 5 later had to livestream to sell his championship ring. Next, please welcome Brandon Beck, CEO of Fist Games, Riot Games. Ma Fanshu gestured, and the camera swung to the CEO. Hello, summoners at the Shanghai Grand Stage and everyone watching from home. Brandon greeted. After a few formal remarks on League of Legends growth, over 97 million registered players worldwide, peak concurrent users passed 9 million, and yesterday's all-star viewership topping 8 million, he moved on to the announcement. Our community of summoners and those who help promote League of Legends have been crucial to this growth, he said. So our management has unanimously decided to design a charity commemorative skin. 50% of the skin's sales revenue will go to charitable causes. For the skin's design and champion selection, we'll choose a summoner who contributed significantly to promoting League last year, based on their preference. The LPL audience stirred. Now, please welcome the player from our LPL who has been awarded the title League of Legends Best Promotion Ambassador. The venue exploded. In the LPL, no one embodied that role better than their own esports Confucius. Tens of thousands of voices joined the host and executive, chanting one name, JM, Gem, Gem. The cheers swelled as Jiang Ming, dark suit sharp, stepped onto the stage. The all-star organizers had salvaged the afternoon's energy. Facing the crowd and the cameras again, Jiang Ming smiled and lifted a hand. Hello, Summoners of Valorant, Chapter 134, Fight for Those Who Cannot Fight. Who is this handsome guy? All right. So you're messing with your brother who's pouring his heart out? 4 LPL players on stage in team jerseys, and this kid's in a suit. What's going on? Don't look too closely. JM might be wearing a team jersey under that suit. Is the head coach doing warm-up 2.0? No doubt, JM's the most handsome in the esports circle. No problem, my friend. He's sensible. JM made so many tutorial videos, he should get an ambassador title for promoting the game. LPL fans cheered when Jiang Ming walked onto the stage in a suit. Outside the region, especially among OGN viewers, the reaction was colder. Why pick an LPL player for the charity skin rep? Maybe because the LPL has more gamers than your whole country has people. Does he even have the credentials? Fist really lost face when Tencent bought them. For the record, JM is currently the #1 player in the LPL, a vlogger with almost 1 million followers, and the owner of NXG Esports Club. Also, NXG's LPL record right now, undefeated. Do you still doubt a summoner who's made over 200 videos totaling more than 100 million views? Fist even invited player JM to be the player feedback representative. Who else could be better? Backstage, the LPL manager queued up the promo video on the big screen. Play with your head, climb the ranks. They played clips from the start, the much-mocked League of Legends beginner's tutorial, the viral 2200 ELO, how to win as support with smart decision-making, and more. Jiang Ming watched himself on the screen, feeling the familiar mix of embarrassment and disbelief. He kept telling himself this was just another step in Fist and the LPL's big marketing plan, but his heart fluttered. Whoever scheduled this, Choose a Promotion Ambassador segment at All-Star had some uncanny timing. Looking back on everything that had led him here, the 700 yuan he'd earned from part-time jobs, the restless climb up the ladder, churning out videos every other day, a teacher's campus entrepreneurship class, a senior who helped like a Deus Ex Machina, snack suppliers showing up, and meeting players with ordinary talent but iron will. It all felt too perfectly arranged. It wasn't cheats or connections. It was luck, grit, and a series of small miracles. From level 1 bot games to your first level 1 team fight, your first push on a tower, your first kill, the montage played on. League of Legends thanks you, JM, the host said, perfectly channeling the fandom. Ma Fanshu, with polished hosting skills and well-researched game data, nailed the sympathetic vibe. So JM, on behalf of the audience here and watching online, for our first charity skin, which champion would you choose? The LPL's move to show JM's history paid off. Hundreds of quality videos validated their choice. The chat exploded with suggestions and opinions. Riven, Zed, if JM doesn't pick Zed, I'll eat a pound of something gross. Grass, after the E-Flash mechanic, put JM in the spotlight. Give us Lee Sin, please. Vayne, Oriana, Jarvan 4. Why is no one picking Udyr? What did Udyr do to deserve this? It's a charity skin. They'll pick a popular champ to sell well. The mic reached Jiang Ming. Everyone leaned in to hear him name a flashy, marketable pick. The next words stunned millions watching the All-Star broadcast. I choose Garen. The might of Demacia, Garen. Silence crashed into uproar. What? Why Garen? Bush Garen, are you serious? It's one thing not to pick Zed or Riven, but why pick a brainless champ like Garen? And then from the other side, Garen's great. Long live Garen. We Garen players support you, JM. Garen, one of the free beginner champions, the bush ambusher with simple mechanics, was a strange choice for a charity skin chosen by player preference. JM explained himself. Many people might question my pick, but I think the might of Demacia best embodies the competitive spirit of our league players. Valor, he intoned. My honor, my life. Never lose sight of why we fight. This world needs hope. Lots of players started playing League with Garen as their first champion because his kit is simple and easy to understand, also because a tanky Garen isn't instantly shredded by more experienced players. Laughter and nods came from the crowd. From that perspective, Garen was a solid charity skin choice. But then Jiang Ming's tone shifted. The main reason I chose the Might of Demacia is because I want our summoners to be like him, fight for those who cannot fight. The room held its breath. Zhao Yang, NXG's support captain, jumped up and led the crowd, booming, "Fight for those who cannot fight. Fight for those who cannot fight." The chant spread, person to person, until the arena echoed like the fields of Demacia. In 2013, for a crowd of hopeful, passionate young esports fans, it felt perfectly right. No irony, only earnestness. The fist representative at Jiang Ming's side stared, mouth slightly open. They'd planned a small corporate charity event to cover political correctness. JM had morphed it into something much bigger. The Chinese translation of Garen's line sounded like a soldier's oath, and it hit hard. Backstage, the room fell quiet. Jiang Ming looked around, puzzled. "Why are you all staring at me?" PDD half-jokingly scolded him. "Lao Jiang, you make the rest of us look dull. You can make picking a Demacian hero sound like poetry." "It's cultural nuance," Ming Kai said, patting PDD on the shoulder. Wei Xiao, who had turned off his phone when the head coach returned, grinned. "Demacia is solid." JM only smiled and accepted a team uniform from Pang Ran, changing out of his suit. The coach hops on stage meme was good once. Repeat it too often and it gets old, or worse. "Get ready," he told them. "After NA and EU, it's our turn against GPL." "Little Pang, Wei Xiao, good luck with your solos," Jiang Ming teased. "Heh, I've already made it to the semis. Don't get knocked out in the first round." The first event after the show was the duo skill competition. Wei Xiao and Pang Ran drew a tough first match, Prey and Madlife. Picks were revealed. On the blue side, Wei Xiao's team banned Blitzcrank, Kennen, and Draven. The purple side banned Caitlyn, Elise, and Annie. OGN clearly didn't expect Jiang Ming's tactical approach, but Wei Xiao and Pang Ran picked a classic lane, Varus plus Thresh. Prey and Madlife surprised them with an unusual Sivir plus Lulu combo. Sivir? Wei Xiao frowned. "They're trying to challenge our fundamentals." Jiang Ming's pre-stage advice echoed in Wei Xiao's head. "Watch out. OGN will use your confidence in fundamentals against you." He was right. In duo lane, unlike solo lanes, kills are less frequent. Games are often decided by who reaches 100 minions first or who takes the first tower. Wei Xiao was famous worldwide for his last hitting, and without Jiang Ming's reminder, he might have expected the opponent to avoid last-hit fights and opted for an aggressive, kill-oriented bot lane. Facing Sivir plus Lulu, the OGN duo's plan was to outmaneuver and outfarm by force. But Thresh plus Varus could both contest and farm, and NXG's duo had trained relentlessly on last hits. There's also a quirk in duo solos. The support's last hits count toward the team total. Pang Ran's excellent supplementary farm and Wei Xiao's machine-like seeing combined to give them a nearly 20-minion lead. They hit the 100-minion mark first and took Game 1. Those two make OGN look silly every time. Who told them they could contest last hits with Wei Xiao and Pang Ran? One's the world's best last hitter, the other's the LPL's best last-hitting support. So clean, Wei Xiao last hits while Pang Pang pokes. When Wei Xiao kites, Pang Pang nails every last hit. I watched an NXG stream once. JM's training is insane. After losing Game 1, Prey and Madlife changed strategies, going all in with Darius plus Thresh in Game 2. But Pang Ran's Morgana and Wei Xiao's predictive Ezreal play frustrated them. The LPL duo closed it out 2-0. On the other side of the bracket, North America's duo, after a rough team match the day before, displayed impressive adaptability. Down 1-0, they turned it around and beat the GPL duo in 3 games. The European duo, who had a bye in the first round, ran into Wei Xiao and Pang Ran next and were swept 2-0, sending them to face NA in the lower bracket final the next day. Coincidentally, the day's first team match was EU's LCS EU versus NA's LCS NA. Many expected EU to take advantage of NA's poor form from their 0-2 drubbing by LPL yesterday. Instead, NA started copying LPL's style almost verbatim. After European mid Alex Ich blind picked Talon, Skara answered boldly with Riven. Skara had spent the previous day studying Jiang Ming's rapid Q&A grind. He was far from Jiang Ming's fluid mechanics and teamfight mastery, but he executed a clean counter and crushed Alex Ich's Talon. Top, mid, and jungle coordinated more like an LPL squad. Small skirmishes, aggressive lane pressure, and coordinated ganks that steadily dismantled EU's map control. The result was a quick 2-0 that left EU stunned, and NA, who'd been looked down on, suddenly standing taller. Chapter 135, What is Esports Confucius? Tactical Leanback. The grudge match between North America and Europe had finally settled. Yesterday, the North American team had been flayed online by their own fans, while EU fans crowed about a supposed 4-0 rout and how they could have done even better. Today, North America had answered. A crisp 2-0 win revealed a terrifying implication. If North America, by copying LPL-style play, could already be this strong, then the LPL, with better tactics, better execution, and better mechanics, must be on another level entirely. So it's not that NA was useless, it's that the LPL is just too strong. Man, NA beat EU 2-0, but NA got 2-0'd by LPL. You know what that means for EU. You can't extrapolate perfectly, but if you squint, yeah, it's not impossible. Come on, I want a bloodbath. Heh, GPL got lucky with a bye in the first round, right? North American fans who had practically been buried last night suddenly sat bolt upright and launched a fresh online assault on EU. EU fans, meanwhile, turned into ostriches and played dead. There was nothing they could do. They had mocked NA for getting steamrolled by LPL, only to get beaten by OGN and then themselves get bested by North America. The internet boomerang came back fast and hard, and the most humiliating detail was that North America had personally knocked them out of the losers bracket fight for the last semifinal spot. LPL viewers watched the regional feud with glee. Haha, these two with the same prefix are always at each other's throats. EU's clowns are hilarious. They roasted NA for almost getting 4-0'd by us yesterday, then go 2-1 to OGN and get schooled by NA today. Jiang Ming, you're a criminal. How could you show NA these tactics? Day 1 All-Star. NA is trash, not even as good as our secondary players. Day 2 All-Star. Never mind, LPL is just absurdly overpowered. Where are the people who said Jiang Ming had no honors, that Pang Ran was unknown and didn't deserve All-Star? Answer me. The commentators Wawa, Joker, and Miller felt like they'd drunk an ice-cold soda after a long stretch in the sun. Praise from other regions was pouring in. Commentators from NA and EU started cozying up to them, hoping to learn more about Jiang Ming so they wouldn't stumble introducing players from their own regions. The NA broadcasters were blunt about it. Praising the LPL was indirectly praising themselves. The pitiable 4-0 stat wasn't their fault. It was just that Jiang Ming and the LPL Dream Team were ridiculously strong. By the time they went on stage for Day 2's All-Star bracket, the trio of LPL casters could hardly steady themselves from the compliments. You couldn't blame people who refuses someone only saying good things about you. All right, dear viewers, Wawa opened. All-Star Day 2 team semifinals start now. What you're watching is LPL versus GPL. Music faded, and the draft began. LPL on blue, GPL on purple. Our ban pick is the same as before. First ban Janna in an assassin meta, Wawa said with a chuckle. I asked Jiang Ming backstage why Janna's priority was so high. He said all of Janna's kit is excellent at stopping assassins diving for the backline, knock-up, slow, shield, knockback, and heal. Put the quickness on top of that, and she's a real nuisance for assassins. Xiaolu, the female commentator, blinked at the bans. Zed, LeBlanc, and Riven all banned? That's 3 mids banned in a row. LPL opened by banning Janna, then took out Ezreal and Nunu. Chawi on GPL was famous for Ezreal, so taking him out was like crippling his lane. Nunu was GPL's jungle darling after the Assassins Championship. He'd had runs with him before that inspired confidence. When the pick phase came, Abu, standing behind the players, kept a calm face, but everyone already knew the plan. As blue side, LPL's first pick locked instantly. I will achieve your dreams with my own hands, the in-game chat read. LPL's blind pick, Lee Sin. GPL answered with Varus and Zyra bot. Jiang Ming's stats had made GPL target his mid lane, while Wei Xiao's reputation drew them into securing a strong AD duo first. LPL followed with aggressive Vayne and Thresh. Vayne in S3 was still a proper late-game duelist. Mobile, dangerous in short trades, though her wave clear was weaker than later seasons made her. GPL eventually picked Orianna mid and Jarvan jungle, saving the top counter pick. The pick band swings again. Fourth pick locks in quickly. Oh, Rumble top, one of PDD's signature champs, the casters noted. Speculation buzzed over what Jiang Ming would choose. Gragas and Ahri were available. With Rumble on the other side, Caedrel wasn't bad either. Many expected Ahri because her early CC chained well with Lee Sin's ganks. When the blue side's fifth pick lit up, the arena erupted. Wawa blinked in disbelief. The locked champion's voice line rang out over the speakers in a cold practice tone. Live by the blade, die by the blade. Talon, the blade's shadow. Cheers and catcalls exploded. Talon was a roamer and a burst assassin, daring, mobile, and flashy. Even Toys on GPL grinned. This guy's cocky, picking Talon into my Orianna, Toys said to his teammates. Mid is stable, brothers. Talon's kit in the old patch was explosive in short trades. His passive and procs made his auto attacks hit like a truck when the enemy was debuffed. Orianna, on the other hand, could take an early defensive route with E for resistances and shield. At level 1, Talon wasn't necessarily favored in straight auto trades, so Toys expected a lane of cautious trades. But Talon's presence telegraphed quick roaming. GPL's fifth pick became Renekton top. Stanley, the TPA teammate, gave a thumbs up. He'd considered world peace picks like Nasus or Dr. Mundo, but decided they needed a stronger early lane presence to avoid being outplayed. With the final lock, the lineups were set. LPL blue, Rumble top, Lee Sin jungle, Talon mid, Vayne plus Thresh bot. GPL purple, Renekton top, Jarvan jungle, Orianna mid, Varus plus Zyra bot. From composition, GPL's team combos look cleaner, one caster said. Renekton frontline, Jarvan engage plus Orianna AoE. That's a scary mid-game punch. Varus and Zyra bring long CC too. The commentators grew tense. Even if the blue side fell behind early, one big team fight could flip the game if GPL found the right engage. LPL's plan had to be precise. Pre-game instructions were crisp in LPL's comms. Ming Kai, start on the top side at level 1. PDD, after your camp, help with a couple of hits, but don't take too much damage, don't alert GPL. Wei Xiao and Xiaopang, play aggressive bot. Don't be afraid to trade. No problem. Heh, leave it to me. I'll show them what an immortal Yordle can do. PDD kept a mental note about forum criticism that painted him reckless. If I'm reckless but we win, you can't complain. Wei Xiao also had a chip on his shoulder. As Dewee's star, he'd been somewhat overshadowed by mid-lane attention and pushed for an early bot-centered plan. That's partly why Jiang Ming picked Talon mid. He clears waves quickly, roams well, and doesn't need to solo kill his lane to make an impact. The bot lane pair on GPL were dangerous after level 3, but Thresh learning Flay at level 1 meant heavy early damage and kill pressure in trades. Ming Kai, after you finish red, help mid. I'll take E at 2 and poke him down. Got it. Lee Sin's early double buff power and fast level 3 were part of the plan. Create a double threat for mid lane. At 152, the mid lanes met. Solo laners need only 7 minions to reach level 2. Jiang Ming, following habit, started with a greater health potion and pushed to clear the wave quickly. Toys frowned. The Talon opposite him showed no intent to trade. He simply cleared and pushed. Orianna's E-shield didn't make her outclear Talon, and Toys worried. If you play like this, what will you do if I freeze? Toys muttered, and deliberately body-blocked the minion wave, walking toward his bottom-side jungle to hide from a potential Lee Sin coming off blue. The audience and casters noticed the jungle angles. Clearlove's Mingkai jungle pathing is weird today, one said. Blue start, is he heading bot? But Renekton needs looking after top. Jarvan plus Renekton gank can get first blood if Rumble is careless. JM's push at level 1 is odd. Orianna with Q and shield can freeze the lane too. But no one expected what happened next. Toys had positioned cautiously near the river. He thought Jarvan's presence gave him enough protection. He was wrong. On the minimap, Ming Kai veered, first to top side, then slipping down river and into the mid-brush. Toys kept a conservative position near the river. He didn't give Jiang Ming a clear angle for a jump. But being careful and being in the right place are different things. Toys had been guarding the wrong space, and he didn't notice the other pressure points on the map. A fan-shaped blade sliced through Oriana as Talon popped his rake. Toys took 2 hits and braced to respond. He landed a Q on the retreating Talon. A Q auto trade plus minion damage would be fine, he thought. Then a red glow flashed on Talon. Greater health potion popped, unexpectedly early. Toys blinked. Then the river flashed gold. Lee Sin exploded into the lane, suddenly appearing next to Oriana and smacking his E onto her before anyone could react. A split second later, Talon vaulted forward and silenced Toys. The two struck so fast there was no time to think. Ignite burned, Talon's passive and Lee Sin's damage layered on. Toys was rooted and stunned by the sudden coordination. He had no counterplay. They're gone. I can't get out. Toys' voice crackled with disbelief. Lee Sin's gank caught him off guard. Talon and Lee Sin combo. Huge burst, the caster shouted. Sonic Wave hit. Oriana had no ball to protect herself, and the silence stopped her from using spells. It was clean. Ming Kai had flashed in from the river after starting E, while Talon capitalized on the lockdown. Toys didn't stand a chance. The kill went to Lee Sin for the first blood. Talon assisted with a precise strike that finished the job. It was textbook aggression, a jungle mid-lane duet that exploited map awareness and wave control. After they killed Oriana, Jiang Ming and Ming Kai pushed the wave, then vanished. Fall back, don't give Jarvan a chance, Ming Kai said, and they rotated toward bot instead of recalling. With Talon's early potion and the first blood gold, they were in good shape. Commentators and viewers noticed the mid-jungle duo roaming. GPL's Jarvan is heading top, but Rumble's playing it safe, no gank. JM and crew killed Oriana and are heading bot, unbelievable. Clearlove's Lee Sin E-Flash was insane, but without Flash they wouldn't have had that angle. If Thresh can't land the hook bot, this will be a wasted rotation. Down at 3 minutes, the LPL rotation arrived. Varus and Zyra on purple sensed the danger and tried to pull back. Pangran, hook them, Wei Xiao yelled in team chat. No problem, I'll get it, Pangran answered. He was the OGN region support with a reputation, the god of supports, some called him. He swung his chain then, in a practiced motion, he re-aimed and threw. Bang. Another golden flash. Thresh wasn't where he'd been. The chain flew across the lane and planted itself into Varus. The sound of the chain reeling in cut through the rift. Hit! Whoa! Whoa! Q flash again. Thresh landed a perfect hook on Varus. Ming Kai seized the moment. He fired a long-range sonic wave that landed, then dove in to finish the follow-up. Pangran reactivated his hook to arrive beside the caught GPL bot duo. Flay pushed Varus back and disrupted Zyra, and Wei Xiao followed up with Condemn to lock Varus against a wall. Talon dove in with Cutthroat. A 4-on-2 dive at 3 minutes in left, Varus with no time to react. His instant barrier popped, then was shredded by the burst. For the second kill, Wei Xiao held back. All-star etiquette and team cohesion meant he deferred the kill to the mid-lane roam. Vayne sacrificing an early solo kill to keep their mid-roaming presence alive was a small price. The comments in chat exploded. Brutal. Stop. That's too much. 2 kills in 3 minutes. LPL, what are you doing? Blind Monkey Flash. Thresh Q Flash. Who's next, Vayne? I knew Clearlove had learned some tricks from JM. Turns out it was true. Is this JM's genius, teaching the E-Flash and other combos? What do you call an esports Confucius? Tactical leanback. PDD, camera on me. Everyone's showing off. Whether human or ghost, only I, PDD, am getting beaten on top lane. JM, you've done too many dirty things. The LPL fans kept cheering. The combination plays, the mid-push to bait, and the jungle flash gank that punished it, the bot dive started by a perfect Thresh hook, made a statement. This All-Star was not going to be about friendly scrims. It was about showing the world what LPL coordination looked like. Chapter 136, The Pinnacle of Showboating, Requestliving. Saying he taught a few players how to pull off quickness combos wasn't quite accurate. Ever since Jiang Ming first used Gragas's E, the quickness, in ranked and pro matches, both pros and solo queue players had been experimenting with linking it into other abilities. As champion mechanics deepen and skill research evolves, Advanced plays Blind Monk R plus the quickness, Jarvan 4 EQ plus the quickness will probably become common. Right now, because champion development hasn't fully matured, some techniques still look astonishing the first few times they appear. In reality, some of these combos may already have been triggered by accident in actual games, but they didn't spread due to limited exposure. Jiang Ming's role was more about nudging and guiding, accidentally using them in scrims to encourage others to try. He didn't worry that showing a few tricks would eat away NXG's edge. NXG's success wasn't built on individual mechanical tricks alone. A mature esports club's true strength lies in solid management, a robust academy, and top coaching. As long as a team can adapt to patches and keep producing talent, it stays in the top tier. Compared to other LPL teams and even other regions, NXG was already far ahead. If he didn't have the confidence to stay there, he might as well take his money and go build a pig farm. Nice. Good teamwork, boys. PDD, weathering pressure in top, had benefited from Jiang Ming's advice to stay communicative instead of zoning out. Seeing consistent success in mid and bot, he took on the role of mood setter. Besides, he'd picked Rumble. Lao Jiang wouldn't repeat Royal Club's mistake of abandoning top. Why funnel bot kills straight to mid? It was about letting mid and jungle get a tempo and economic edge against GPL. After picking up a kill bot, Jiang Ming returned to base. With a kill, an assist, and some minions plus passive income, he had roughly 700 gold. He didn't rush 2 longswords. 1 longsword and boots of speed. Basic, real mid laner setup. He was quietly judging mid laners who get a kill and then sit on it. Minion waves don't regenerate on their own. Learn basic wave control, and when mid and jungle rotate, opportunities multiply. But before he could make his move back in lane, GPL's Jarvan 4 came mid to gank. Harlaluyar had obviously been waiting. The moment Talon stepped up to last hit, a Demacian standard was blindly cast toward mid. The English casters from NA and EU exhaled in surprise when Jiang Ming, at the exact instant the Demacian standard hit, stepped back and avoided the knockup entirely. He's cheating? How did he dodge my knockup blind? I don't understand. I didn't dare go first either, afraid of giving them anything. Toys shook his head. Outside the venue, the audience reacted dramatically. In the LPL booths, Jiang Ming, who dodged the blind Jarvan EQ, stayed calm. It wasn't superhuman reflexes, it was preparation. He'd anticipated the timing. League of Legends is in many ways a turn-based game. Skills, summoner spells, and ultimates have cooldowns. When someone spends a big initiation, they temporarily hand the initiative to you. That's your defensive turn. Don't fight during their offensive window. In the old timeline, many LPL teams were criticized for poor discipline. They'd try flashy late-game plays during the opponent's skill-advantaged phase and collapse instantly. Talon, without the quickness, is very gankable. If Jarvan knocks him up and Orianna follows with Q and W, even without dying, he'd be forced back and lose experience, essentially like getting solo-killed early. Jiang Ming didn't immediately W his rake, but walked forward to auto, baiting an ability. When Jarvan blew his initiation, he'd wasted his offensive turn. So, my turn. Draw a card. With Jarvan showing mid, Ming Kai wasn't idle either. Blind Monk, already on first blood and with updated items, didn't bother clearing more camps. He zipped top to help Rumble with a kick. GPL's Renekton dared not trade. When these LPL players move, they often don't send just one. The moment Blind Monk committed, Talon had already disappeared from lane. Staying another second could have been fatal. We see Stanley as decisive, using the quickness to create distance from Blind Monk. The quickness is necessary. JM's Talon is already near the Baron Pit. With boots of speed movement, he'll reach the fight fast. Using the quickness to stay alive, Stanley proved a solid utility top. Players who save the quickness until they're almost dead and then panic are common, even in pro play. That greed for one more minion or one more skill is part of pro judgment, but balance matters. It's a mark of a team's quality. At 5.5 minutes, mid-Talon was about to hit 6. Toys' Orianna was cautious, never giving Jiang Ming a chance to E-dash, so lane priority favored Talon. With a level 3 W, the wave pushed quickly. "Are we diving?" Ming Kai asked. His monk had burned a lot of teammates' resources. Even the second blue buff wasn't given to Talon. He was one camp from 6. "It's up to you. If you can kick him out, we can dive." Jiang Ming teased. He sure wasn't going to wait for OGN's Insect to debut the Ward Hop Insect Kick at All-Star. What's the highest form of showboating? Many think it's a solo miracle play. The real pinnacle is bringing disciplined teammates to demolish the opponent, then casually admitting, "Oh, I taught them that." That satisfaction beats any solo highlight. Heh, unlikely. Factory's plays are absurd. Would be funny if Ming Kai becomes the Mercy Kick monk. In top, after Renekton used his The Quickness, PDD laughed. Now both top and bot on GPL lacked the quickness. From GPL's perspective, both lanes were potential gank targets. It came down to Jarvan's choice. Watching the minion wave near tower, Toys sensed danger, but with the quickness up, a level 5 Orianna under tower felt secure. Buddy, watch top. JM's team ganks Rumble well. They excel at enabling Rumble, Toys warned Jarvan for. Jarvan started to move toward the upper river. Then thump, a sonic wave came from the right jungle, hitting Orianna. Are they really diving me? I have the quickness. Before Toys could think further, Ming Kai's left hand hit the second cast of Q. Blind Monk launched from the jungle toward the tower. Everyone's eyes widened. Why would the LPL jungler risk that? The answer came instantly. Blind Monk threw a ward mid-air behind Orianna and used W to redirect Q's displacement. Suddenly, the monk appeared behind Orianna. The tower couldn't react in time. The monk timed his second cast to interrupt Q's flight and immediately followed with the kick. Dragon's Rage! Iku! We see Jarvan chose to guard Renekton top. If Renekton dies early, they lose a sustained teamfight point. Ming Kai's monk is exploding in level. He must have taken lane experience. But Orianna has the quickness under tower, making a mid-gank risky. Better to go bot. Varus has the quickness, and if Thresh lands CC. Wawa and Miller set a line each, cut off by Xiaolu. Minions entering tower. Factory casts Sonic Wave. It hits. JM's Talon is pushing. They're committing. Second Q activated. What? He kicked her out. Blind Monk kicked Orianna out. What happened? The three LPL casters' incredulous voices echoed, while the audience sat stunned. Orianna, kicked out and helpless under tower, had no chance. Silence. AQW's blades from R scattered. Within a second, Jiang Ming executed Talon's full combo. Toys used the quickness at the last moment, but Talon's Q-bleed finished the job. CNLPL, JM killed GPL Toys. On Factory's favorite F4 stage, Orianna fell. In OGN's backstage lounge, Insect nearly leapt from his seat. He knew exactly what the monk was lining up and couldn't help blurting, "This is impossible. It was me first. It was me first." He sat frozen, throat bobbing. The online chat exploded. 666, this is No Yan. Is this No Yan? No, who are you? Get off Ming Kai right now. What a play. Oh my god. Mid-air ward hop insect kick? Director replay. Give us a replay. The director displayed the replay. Blind Monk stood in the jungle right of the first tower and fired Sonic Wave. The pause before the second cast wasn't long. He activated Q's second cast into the tower. The ward, thrown midair, landed behind the target first. W interrupted Q's displacement and forced the champion behind the target. Then the kick removed Orianna from under tower in one perfectly timed motion. Players who main Blind Monk recognized the mechanics immediately. But that didn't blunt the shock. The ward hop insect kick, executed live in an all-star match, sent a jolt through the scene. Requesting monthly votes. Chapter 137, Initial Results of the Training Guangdong Province, second floor of a private residence. Nice. Well played. The mechanics are just too cool. Aidaju, sitting in front of his computer, threw his arms up and cheered at the flashy play unfolding on the screen. He had been watching WE since Season 2, and had long suspected that Ming Kai, the jungler, was being held back by his teammates and the team's environment. A player who could single-handedly dominate ranked games turned meek and hesitant on the professional stage. That could not be only personal failure. It had to be about direction and leadership. Under Jiang Ming's coaching, the all-star dream team had proved his suspicion right. Ming Kai wasn't incapable, he just needed the right system. With the right guidance, he could carry. If only I could recruit Jiang Ming. Aidaju muttered to himself. He had toyed with founding an esports club earlier in the year, and if he'd acted sooner, he might have offered Jiang Ming a role. Now it was too late. Jiang Ming had already built his own club and rattled off 3 straight wins. Aidaju looked at a heavily annotated proposal titled Edgy Esports Club on his desk. Pages on team structure, core players, quasi-military management, references to the Korean development model, and sighed. He wasn't giving up on starting a team. If anything, seeing Ming Kai's performance made him more determined. He could sign other active pros or poach members of NXG's coaching staff. The All-Star viewership had broken 5 million. Capital was already sniffing at the industry. Teams that had once been out of reach suddenly had investors knocking at their doors. Back to the match. After taking Oriana down again, Zhang Ming's score read 2-0, and Ming Kai's Lee Sin had an assist. Because Oriana had been melted instantly, Lee Sin, who tanked turret shots, still had half his HP. "Take Dragon," Zhang Ming called. "Okay." Zhang Ming scanned the bot lane and saw Virus playing timidly without the quickness, and Zyra failing to push forward, so the minion wave was hovering in a neutral position. "Lao Pu, hold it in top for a bit," he told PDD. "Got it. Crocodile without the quickness can't threaten me," PDD replied. As Rumble, he didn't mind trading farm with the Crocodile. With Talon missing from mid, GPL's side lanes grew cautious. Even when they guessed Talon might be on Dragon duty, neither the duo lane nor the top laner wanted to overextend. Talon's presence had become terrifying. Stanley, the Crocotop, was furious. He dominated early matches before, but couldn't land the necessary E plus the quickness combos. Either the opponent backed off, Xin Zhao arrived, or the wave was cleared. Without minions and with his wounds. The quickness still cooling down from the last skirmish, he couldn't dive. He hesitated to use his ultimate prematurely, and so could do little. But GPL's caution created a gap. Zhang Ming timed his play perfectly, exploiting a blind spot in GPL's defensive vision. Xin Zhao, who'd had his level 1 jungle camp stolen and missed several early ganks, was behind in experience, still level 4, and possibly unable to reach 5 after clearing the Stoneman camp. Harlaluyar, peacefully clearing a camp and having let the dragon go to LPL, had no idea of the danger approaching. Using the familiar EQ combo to clear, Xin Zhao's flag hit and 2 Stonemen leapt up. On stage, some viewers winced. Once displacement is used, fate can flip. Then a stranger appeared from the wall. "Hi," the intruder said. "Hi," Zhang Ming replied. "You're not the jungler, are you?" "I'm not, but you clear your camps, and I'll clear you." Harlaluyar reflexively hit the quickness, but his EQ was on cooldown. There was no time. Talon used boots and E to close the distance at maximum range, Assassin's Path into an AQA combo. Swish, fan blades went out and back, and then an empowered auto attack with the slow. Zhang Ming backed off after taking a second turret shot. The 1.5-second Q bleed did the rest. A recent patch, hurried in after Zhang Ming's feedback, had fixed a bug that had prevented Talon's passive bonus damage on debuffed targets. Without that fix, this kill might not have been so clean. CNLPL, JM killed GPL, Harlaluyar. Xin Zhao fell under his inner turret. Wow, massacre. Less than 10 minutes into the game, Zhang Ming is unstoppable. He killed mid, then the jungler. Talon is free to roam the map. The LPL stream chat erupted. Woohoo, being an LPL fan is the best. Don't watch the game live, just check the results after work. You can't give Zhang Ming assassins like this. He'll wreck side lanes. I've signed up for NXG youth tryouts. See me beside Zhang Ming next summer. With mid collapsing twice and the jungler dead, GPL had no early rhythm. Every time Talon's ultimate came off cooldown, the other team had to guess where he'd strike next. Xin Zhao guessed bot, and guessed wrong. After 10 minutes of pressure, Pang ran at bot, finally got relief. Lee Sin used his ward hop insect kick. Talon used Yomu's and ultimate to accelerate, appearing next to Crocodile with lethal speed. Shadow Assault, Assassin's Path, Rake, AQ Burst finished the job. Crocodile had so little health left that Rumble didn't even need his ultimate. Pangran laughed through team chat as they pushed. Keep pushing. We push, you push. Minion score 50-50. Who do you call? I call the Big Daddy. Wei Xiao teased. Lao Pu, are you studying for postgrad exams? The banter flowed. The LPL 5 were in sync and fired up, each flashy play spreading confidence through the team. That was exactly what Zhang Ming hoped to manufacture. In year 1, maximize the impact of provision and coordination, build NXG's dominance, and attract investors. A dominant LPL would draw money and attention. OGN and other regions would be left scrambling. At 11 minutes, with Yumu's complete, Zhang Ming solo killed mid and, backed by Lee Sin, destroyed GPL's mid-outer turret. Xin Zhao, attempting to defend, was forced back to Fountain. 30 seconds later, bot skirmish. Wei Xiao, with attack speed boots and a Bilgewater cutlass, used E the quickness to pin Zyra against a wall, dodged Varus's ultimate with an evasive roll, and then went hunting. Pang Ran's death sentence fainted, then locked Varus down. Double kill. The crowd roared. By 13 minutes, the second dragon spawned. LPL had already taken 2 towers mid and bot. GPL's options shrank. They aimed once more to gank PDD's Rumble, but PDD had sidestepped to bot. With few meaningful plays left, GPL scrambled. Zhang Ming and Ming Kai synced up for a classic ward hop kick, 2-in-1 execution, then Vayne followed up for another kill. The LPL momentum was relentless, and the commentators could barely contain themselves. Talon's instant kill power, especially after the recent bug fix, drove Fist Games designers to exclaim in their studio. Talon's insane. Full health squishies die in half a second. We need to consider nerfs. A simple nerf might not fix the core issue, silence. If we remove or change silence, we'll affect other champions. They argued over how to tweak the assassin's strength without wrecking the game. At 16 minutes, the slaughter continued. With a massive economic lead and no true tanks on the purple side, Jiang Ming, now on Bloodthirster as his second item, was terrifying. The possibility of stacking Last Whisper or Black Cleaver next only added to the dread. Teammates joked about building Mejais for the finals. Eventually, LPL secured Baron at 21 minutes and tried to pull off a dramatic finish. In the deciding team fight, PDD charged too far forward, trying to compete with Vayne for the cleanup. After casting Zhonya's and Flamespitter, he was picked off by Zyra's death sentence. For a moment it looked like GPL had won 2 kills back, but LPL's gold lead was already astronomical. With a 2-for-5 exchange and more map control, they crushed GPL's Nexus. Semifinals, LPL up 1-0. Notably, the MVP of the match wasn't Talon, it was Ming Kai's Lee Sin. His level 3 EQ flash gank in mid and the insect that handed Orianna to Talon earned him the award. Jiang Ming had no objections. Lee Sin's early plays had created Talon's snowball. The second game began with GPL adjusting for an early game brawl. Backstage, the OGN players watched blue side GPL's champion picks and smiled. GPL had chosen a lineup that wanted to contest tempo from the start. But when PDD on purple locked in Jace in the 5th pick and Jiang Ming responded with Kha'Zix mid, while the bot duo locked Varus and Zyra, the smiles of the OGN 5 faded. GPL's plan for a strong early game had collided with a poke and siege composition. Xin Zhao and Zyra provided defensive utility. Jace, Kha'Zix, and Varus offered poke and long-range pressure. From the opening minute, PDD's Jace received priority treatment. Xin Zhao ganked top at level 2 and set up first blood. Kha'Zix got a solo kill mid, then bought Tear of the Goddess and handed over the first blue buff to the team. At 5 minutes, Zyra roamed top, and together with Xin Zhao, they trapped GPL's top and jungler, who'd tried to collapse on Jace. In the mid-game, Jace's poke tore quantities of health off targets. 3 auto-attacks in the dragon fight took half a support's HP, and a cannon minion shot, combined with focused poke, eliminated the jungler and AD who tried to contest. The LPL had turned GPL's early game plan against them. Hard poke and coordinated rotations crushed their tempo attempts, and the arena once again watched a clinic in mid-game control. The All-Star matches continued to show what Jiang Ming and his training had been building. When coordinated, the LPL players could impose a level of map pressure and execution that broke opponents' plans before they ever had a chance to unfold. The training results were beginning to show, and everyone in the stadium and watching around the world could see it. Chapter 138, Dragon and Xiaoduan. The second game had far fewer kills than the first, but the suffering was no less intense. LPL's composition featured 3 long-range champions who poked relentlessly before any team fight. Sometimes, before you could even reach them, half your health bar was already gone. When you finally couldn't stand it and tried to initiate, Xin Zhao's ultimate would often wipe out several people in one go. If that failed, Zyra's ultimate could split the battlefield and provide enough cover to disengage. If LPL couldn't force a fight, GPL faced a slow, grinding death. Once their champion states dropped, they either had to concede towers and resources or wait for Kha'Zix to pick them off one by one. A team that knew the sting of poke composition couldn't help but admire LPL's performance. Losing like this on the All-Star stage, in front of countless summoners from around the world, stung far worse than getting beaten within your own region. Heh, that thought brightened a lot of moods. Because LPL's pace for taking towers was relentless, the match never waited for Baron to respawn. In just 18 minutes, LPL had pushed onto GPL's high ground. GPL didn't huddle under their inner turrets and wait to die. They rushed forward and fought desperately. A desperate 4-for-1 trade later, but with their support gone and nothing left to hold the line, GPL could only watch as LPL finished the Nexus for the second time. Congratulations to LPL. They've advanced to the All-Star Finals and will face the winner of the upcoming second semifinal between North America's LCS A and Korea's OGN, who will claim the third regional seed for the Season 3 Global Finals. At the same time, let's give a round of applause to GPL. They were brave and fought hard, a truly entertaining match. Brave and fought hard? Entertaining? The 5 GPL players, headphones off and waiting for the post-match handshake, couldn't help but pull faces. That was an interesting definition of praise. Did brave and fought hard mean being repeatedly deleted in the first game? Or did it mean the second game, where they kited for over 10 minutes with near-perfect precision, was entertaining? The 5 LPL players walked over to GPL's side for the customary sportsmanlike handshakes. After Zhang Ming's strong showing, the tradition was virtually automatic now. The victors visit the defeated team's area afterward and offer a sign of respect. The winners must carry the losers' resentment and continue on their way, Toys muttered oddly while shaking Zhang Ming's hand. Their fists met. Losing to the champion is better than losing to the runner-up. Zhang Ming only nodded. He wasn't one for speeches before a match. After all, he couldn't very well reply, "We will win." Jiang Ming's lively streak wasn't done yet. After the semifinal win, the team lined up and walked to the edge of the stage, the kind of synchronized bow hometown football teams give to the crowd. The 5 moved in unison and gave a 30-degree bow to the fans below. Under the floodlights, LPL's roar drowned out the PA system and applause thundered. "Champions, you've got to win the final. If it doesn't work out, I'll pull the network cable myself." For the semifinal interview, Wei Xiao and Ming Kai were called back on stage. Their interviewer was Bao Bao, a fixture in the league who had been handed the big opportunity. Bao Bao skipped the usual, fluff questions in record time and hit the heart of what viewers wanted to know. Third question. In today's first game, No Yan and Wei Xiao used champion techniques that had never been shown in the league before. Can you explain the specifics? Were these innovations prepared specifically for All-Star? Zhang Ming perked up, curious for Ming Kai and Wei Xiao's answers. The two glanced at each other, and Ming Kai picked up the mic. "The blind monk technique is actually pretty simple," he said. "It uses W's reposition during Sonic Wave to prematurely end the second cast of Q's flight path, reposition relative to the target, and then immediately cast your ultimate. JM named it the Mid-Air Ward Hop Insec." JM named it? Bao Bao seized the moment. Yes. Ming Kai was candid. He didn't care about the online jokes that had called him China's sweeper monk during the break. JM showed me this during our boot camp. He's the creator of the Mid-Air Insec on Blind Monk. So, yeah, we did prepare it for All-Star. The audience went wild. Wait, Director Zhang invented it? Not so fast. Don't be ridiculous. He's the Confucius of esports, but he doesn't have to be that strict about titles. Teaching amateurs isn't enough for him now. He's teaching professionals. What's next? Other clubs. I thought flash combo techniques were enough, but I didn't expect he'd be teaching these too. Other junglers in LPL. Are you kidding? What happens when he returns to the league? Could Wei Xiao's Vayne E-Flash be? It shouldn't be. Wei Xiao answered next, and he blew a few illusions to bits. Vayne's E-Flash is actually the same principle as Blind Monk's E-Flash. We both picked these up soloing with our head coach, our captain. The trick is like Gragas's E-Flash. Use the ability first, then flash. It produces a surprising effect. Wait, solo? Tell us about the solo. I want to hear this. Heh, this old man suddenly got bold. Lol. Upstairs, do you see my 40-meter sword? Talking halfway might get people killed. Ahem. By the way, aren't you all curious why, with makeshift teams and players forming temporarily for this event, only our LPL unit shows such perfect synergy? Their timing and team fight command were far beyond the other teams. How so? Is it possible JM, as captain and head coach, beat everyone on the team in solo matches on day one, directly convincing them? Everyone's talented. Temporary teams always struggle with who to follow. Not counting JM's coaching title, just listen to Wei Xiao's tone. If he hadn't been thrashed in a solo, would he sound so convinced? In our server, the classic solution to disputes is a father-son solo. You think Ming Kai and Wei Xiao, after losing those solos, would refuse to follow command? Physical persuasion like that makes sense. Resolving authority early allows them to focus entirely on synergy, which definitely gives them an edge. No, aren't you missing the biggest question? JM's demonstrated techniques aren't mid-lane skills at all. You mean JM beat Ming Kai using a jungle champion and clobbered Wei Xiao while playing an AD? Pervert! There were masters of deduction in the crowd, from a few fragmentary words by Wei Xiao and Ming Kai, and LPL's absurdly slick teamwork. Fans pieced together the story of what had happened in boot camp. The only thing the players didn't mention was how JM had made them sit through a meal and given them a good dressing down to wake them up. Apparently that, plus the father-son solos, did a lot to get those unruly young men in line. That night, Chinese esports forums and Taiba were on fire. Headlines about LPL's 2-0 semifinal win were secondary. The real focus was one name. NXG Esports Club owner, LPL Dream Team head coach, team captain JM, isn't he a little too overpowered? The original poster compiled every champion tutorial video Jiang Ming had released over the year. Basic skill drills, detailed breakdowns of over 100 champions' abilities and quirks, highlight reels of extreme plays, and even carefully crafted guides released within days of each new champion's launch. There were vision explanations, minion wave tactics, resource control, strategic roles for all 5 positions. Hiss, he's insane, practically superhuman. I've followed him since his first video last year. In champion knowledge, he's in a league of his own, prolific like a machine, and the quality's top tier. It's outrageous. Honestly, Wei Xiao's and Ming Kai's revelations surprised me, but then I thought, if he wasn't intimately familiar with other roles, JM couldn't devise these tactical plays. Thank goodness he's not from another region. Imagine that nightmare. Like the ancient great emperor enshrouding the heavens, ruling all eras alone. Emperor Jiang, right? No, that's too low. He should be immortal King Jiang, Emperor Ming. Calm down. The finals aren't over yet. Don't celebrate too early. If they lose the All-Star Finals, you'll be calling him useless. Off topic. Shouldn't we pester him to release the Blind Monk and Vayne tutorials? Right, he definitely has more. Brothers, storm Weibo and chase immortality. Longpan Road, Xuanwu District, Jinling City. At the train station, a long green train coasted to a stop. Xiao Duan, hood up and wearing a black hoodie, struggled to drag a suitcase nearly half his height through the crowd. Hand me the suitcase first. Zhu Xiaolong, already planted under the electronic timetable, reached out. Thanks, Brother Long. Zhu Xiaolong was the higher-ranked friend Xiao Duan had mentioned to his benefactor, Guo Lin. They'd met in ranked games and agreed to come together for an NXG trial. Despite being about the same age, Zhu Xiaolong had an older brother heir, someone who'd been out in the world a bit longer and naturally took care of others. Xiao Duan, who'd grown up with little family warmth, loved that feeling and followed Brother Long's lead. Exit C. We need to go out through C. The NXG staff will pick us up there. Zhu Xiaolong pointed out a sign. Let's go. We still have a bit of a walk. Brother Long, are you nervous? Xiao Duan asked, tugging his suitcase. Nervous about the tryout? A little. I'm worried I won't pass. You won't. With your skill level, you'll be fine. Didn't JM say the youth training mainly selects talented prospects for development? You don't have to be match-ready right away to get in. Of course, being match-ready would help. Zhu Xiaolong thought, there's a gap even among geniuses. Diamond 1 and Challenger players still get schooled by true top-tier experts. All-Star, Xiao Duan said, watching the live text updates. Our LPL won again. That's expected. Our region's teams are ahead in tactics and team synergy. And the final. Before Xiao Duan could finish, a man in a blue and white NXG uniform began waving a placard frantically at Exit C. Several teenagers of their age were already gathered around him. The staff member wore an NXG ID card, name and position printed clearly. Name, Wang Wang. Position, Youth Training Camp Level 2 Assistant. Wang Wang smiled as the two young men approached. Hello, I'm from NXG's Youth Training Camp. I'll be taking you to the club. Hello, Brother Wang, the two chorused. Zhu Xiaolong took the lead. Xiao Duan mirrored his big brother's politeness. You're the last tryout group tonight. The shuttle's waiting in the parking lot. They followed Wang Wang to the parking lot, where a conspicuous red and white NXG van waited. The driver, Zhou Shu, had already unloaded it. If you have suitcases, hand them to me. We'll store them in the back. Keep your valuables with you. When we get to the club, you can hand them to management for safekeeping. Mo Ziye, the youth training manager, had thought of everything. The assistants had a long checklist for picking up minors and keeping them safe. Please, give me your monthly votes. The youth training camp storyline has begun, and it's only going to get more exciting from here. Everyone can guess who will be in the first batch. Chapter 139 NXG First Phase Youth Training. After they climbed into the van, the kids kept looking around, sizing up the interior. It wasn't that they'd never ridden in a Wuling before. What caught their attention was NXG's base vehicle design. It matched the aesthetic taste of these esports teens perfectly. Zhu Xiaolong was a bit surprised. The interior felt roomier than he'd expected. With more than a dozen people on board, it felt almost as spacious as the passenger minibuses back home. Everyone here? Master Zhou called. Everyone's here, ready to go, came the reply. All right, destination Qixia District, NXG Electronic Sports Club base. Young men, buckle up and sit tight. Old driver Autumn Mountain is officially setting off. Pleasant work and lighter financial pressure had done something to Master Zhou. If you didn't look at his face, you wouldn't guess he was almost 50. He rattled off cheesy lines with the energy of a much younger man, and a few lads who hadn't yet buckled scrambled to clip in. In reality, Master Zhou drove extremely smoothly. Even the speed bumps barely caused a jolt. After a few minutes on the road, Wang Wang in the passenger seat kept watching the future youth trainees through the rearview mirror. The trip from the train station to the base would take about half an hour, so Wang Wang started a conversation to fill the time. Everyone, introduce yourselves. Barring anything unexpected, this group will be pooled together for matches later. Let's start with the handsome one by the window. Most 15 or 16-year-olds are shy. To avoid awkward silence, and because part of his job was looking after their mental state, Wang Wang picked someone who looked confident to lead things off. Once there's someone to open up, the others usually follow. My name's Zheng Ji. I'm 17. Server ID Alvin. I mainly play top Renekton, Shyvana, currently challenger on Crystal Scar. Zheng Ji answered smoothly, giving a solid first impression. Wang Wang made a mental note. Good communication skills for a top laner. This little introduction round was partly an informal assessment, as much as getting to know each other. Next up, I'm Wang Shenkai, 15. I Kai. I play support. Diamond I, 40 LP on Kinku order. Duan Deliang, 17. Support. Thresh, Blitzcrank, Alistar. Ionia Challenger. When Duan Deliang said, Ionia Challenger, every head in the van turned to him. A support player reaching Challenger in a competitive server like Ionia, impressive. The others whispered, he can hit Challenger playing support? Beast. My friends warned me NXG would be fierce, but I didn't expect this level. A huge, burly northeastern kid whose head nearly brushed the van ceiling grinned and stuck his hand up. Heh, Li Weigan, ID Vasily. You can call me Death Announcement. 19. I main AD carry. Varus, Caitlyn. Ionia Diamond Eye, 77 LP. Support brother, let's duo at the club. Solo queue as an ADC is miserable. Okay. Everyone thought he looked more built for top lane than ADC. Some of them inwardly wondered if he'd go full physical on stage if they lost a match. Then another boy with sharp eyebrows and clear eyes introduced himself. He looked like the cover model of a campus romance novel. Tsk, the team's pretty face, Wang Wang muttered, thinking of the main team's AD carry, Xu Jing. My name's Lin Dao. I'm 14. I'd free. I play mid-shadow Streamlord, LeBlanc Oriana. I just squeezed into Ionia Challenger yesterday. 14? 14-year-old Ionia Challenger? Everyone in the van went quiet. Death Announcement, who just introduced himself as Diamond Y, went noticeably red, 19 versus 14. He stared, reevaluating his life choices. Zhu Xiaolong and the others went on to introduce themselves in quick succession. Zhu Xiaolong, Han Jijun, a seeker, the king, Xuan Pi. Snatches of IDs and names floated through the van. We're here. Watch your step getting out. Wang Wang hopped out, pulled the door open and said, Grab your luggage. I'll get your dorms sorted. Brother Long, I can carry my stuff. Seeing NXG's connected buildings in front of them, Xiao Duan felt a rush of excitement. He suddenly found himself able to heft his suitcase easily. Huh, it's not like the pictures I saw online, Death Announcement said, puzzled by the campus. Wang pointed toward a 3-story building a few hundred meters away. That's the main headquarters, but you'll only get in there after you're promoted to the first team. Our dorms are limited, 4 people per room. You're the last batch, so some rooms already have players moved in. If anything's inconvenient, tell me. The training room is on the 1st floor, but there's no requirement tonight. Tryouts and management arrangements will be explained by the manager tomorrow. Limited? The accommodations turned out better than most of them had expected. Zhu Xiaolong, carrying a red and white canvas bag, followed Wang up to the 2nd floor and peeked into the room. It wasn't huge, but it was clean and tidy. 2 metal bunk beds, 2 beds against the walls, a cabinet at the foot, a small ensuite bathroom to the right, and even a balcony. Having been exposed to pro esports environments before, Zhu Xiaolong had braced himself for the worst. He'd expected maybe a basement. This was much nicer than he'd imagined. The other players looked pleasantly surprised too. Toughing it out is one thing, but everyone prefers a normal life when they can. Those whose names I call go to the 1st dorm: Zheng Ji, Wang Shengkai, Pi Xiaoshuan. Hearing his name left out, Duan Deliang quietly breathed a sigh of relief. He still hoped to room with Brother Long, with whom he had a good relationship. Duan Deliang, Zhu Xiaolong, Li Weijin, you'll stay in room 205. At the end of the hall, Wang pointed to a noticeably larger room. Because of the building layout, this room has about a 1/3 more space than the others, but we put 5 players here. 2 already moved in. 5 people? How would that work? The 3 walked in, puzzled, and finally understood. On the right, by the window and stretching toward the bathroom, there was an extra-large wooden bed. A giant, nearly 2 meters tall, bent down out of the bathroom and stood before them. Hello, Brother Wang, he rumbled. Gulp. Death Announcement swallowed hard at the sight of this titan's extended hand. He'd always thought he was a big guy, but this was on another level. Wang, clearly embarrassed by the height difference, introduced him. This is Zhang Hong, National Server ID Nexus. He's a top laner and arrived a day earlier than you. Hello. Xiao Duan felt the other man's palm, which seemed big enough to engulf his hand, and suddenly understood the phrase, petite and exquisite, his teacher had taught them. Nexus. Nexusus? This was Ultraman in human form. Wang left to settle other arrivals. Death Announcement immediately tossed his bag onto the left bunk. The club had prepared bedding in advance, and an auntie had already washed and made the beds. Zhu Xiaolong and Xiao Duan exchanged glances and had no objections. With Death Announcement's size, putting him on the top bunk would have been reckless. Brother Long, I'll take the top bunk, Xiao Duan offered. All right, you go up first. I'll hand up your luggage. As they sorted their things into the cabinet, Death Announcement wandered over to Zhang Hong's side of the room. Hey, old man, how old are you? I was born in 96. 17. Death Announcement's brain short-circuited. 17? Nearly 2 meters tall at 17? An esports Yao Ming? He forced himself to focus. There was still one more teammate. Is there someone else? Oh, I almost forgot. He went to play ranked with Xiao Qin from the 1st floor dorm. Ranked? A few of us arrived early for various reasons. The staff are busy handling all-star merch vendors, so we've just been allowed to play ranked for now. Everything will be arranged tomorrow. I was going to go too, just came from the bathroom. It was only a little past 9. For people who played League of Legends, staying up late was routine. The 3 glanced at each other. It's still early. Let's go. They wanted to try the club's gear. Online posts said NXG's PCs and mice were sponsored by Logitech, way better than the old mechanical knockoffs in their small-town internet cafes. On the 1st floor training room, they met their final teammate. Liu Xiyu, ID, Mala Xiangguo, main jungler, Ionia Diamond 2. The skinny Mala Xiangguo stood next to the 2-meter Jiang Hong, the contrast stark. Jiang Hong's roommate from the neighboring dorm, well-groomed and not at all like the stereotype of a gaming addict, also stood and introduced himself. Qinhuan, ID, Luster, AD Carry. Everyone here? Yes, the first phase is all present. Heh. Tomorrow I can finally test these newcomers' mettle. On the second floor staff dorms, Mosier leaned against the balcony railing and spoke on the phone with Jiang Ming, who was far away in Magic City. His eyes drifted toward the brightly lit training room below. The youth training camp is the club's future, Mosier said. For the first week, don't rush into deep tactical training. Focus on discipline and fundamentals. For the City League Championship, split 2 teams from the list I gave you. Pay attention to the players on that list. If anyone's missing or clearly doesn't meet the criteria, move them to the end. The rest can wait until I'm back. Okay, Mingyi, the other side answered. Do you want to say a few words at tomorrow noon's meeting? Mosier asked. Jiang Ming paused a heartbeat. No, I won't. Youth training management is yours completely. I'm the LPL All-Star main team coach and captain right now. Dividing my attention back at the club would send the wrong message. Jiang Ming was careful about optics. Even a brief appearance and a half-hearted speech could be spun into criticism that he was distracted from all-star duties. If something went wrong at the all-star event, people hungry for a piece of NXG's attention would be ready to pounce. He'd rather Mosier handle the young players' first impressions and management while he focused on the international stage. Chapter 140, KPI Assessment System. Those kids are really energetic. They traveled all day yesterday and still played games into the night. If the rotating staff hadn't forced them to rest, a bunch of them would have stayed up all night. Mosier woke with a smile when he read the assistant's message. No wonder the parents' chat group had been full of complaints these past 2 days about their children's internet addiction. The kids couldn't resist playing as soon as they got off the train. The parents' group was the Guardian communication channel for the youth players invited to NXG's tryouts. Most of the underage players had come accompanied by parents or close relatives. A few had been cleared for travel after multiple rounds of online and offline contact, and the club had helped arrange it. The TV5 broadcast had left parents feeling very favorably toward Jiang Ming and NXG. Energetic, you say? Great. Just wait until NXG's training grinds them down. Mosier rubbed at the stubble on his chin and laughed. It was nearly time. He got up, washed quickly, and headed for the first-floor cafeteria. Aunt Zhang, a bowl of noodles, please, he said. Minced meat or spicy chicken? Spicy chicken. Extra toppings. The cafeteria was full of club staff having breakfast. The trainees, many of whom had inverted schedules, weren't awake yet. Auntie, preserved egg and lean meat congee. I'll have a meat bun, a twisted roll, a vegetable bun, and a soy milk. Guang, can you finish all that? I can. Look at Hong Jae. I'm not even half his size. Why compare yourself to him? A ripple of whispers snagged Mosier's attention. He glanced over to see 2 earnest-looking teens and a towering 2-meter-tall kid peeking into a display window at the food. Their faces still looked immature beside the older staff in NXG uniforms. One of the teens, Guang, clutched an English dictionary. Mosier checked his watch. 9:30 a.m. Up so early? Qinhuan, Lin Dao, Jiang Hong. The 3 names flashed through his head. They hadn't been part of the all-night gaming incident yesterday. Otherwise, no one would be up and at breakfast this early. Esports players and breakfast don't usually go together, but the English dictionary in that kid's hand was the oddest thing. His parents had reported that he consistently ranked top 3 in school. Mingyi, promise me I didn't lure a top student to the club. If his teacher or principal shows up, I'll have to turn you in, Mosier mused, rubbing his stubble. Around the young trio, the older staff looked at them like siblings. Wang, who had worked late, sat down beside Mosier with his tray. There was someone even earlier than them, finished and left already, he said. Good. Disciplined players. Name, Zhao Hao, ID King. Top, specializes in, but observations say he's average. 19 and still in diamond. I suggested he try mid yesterday. Pay attention to him. For players willing to work hard, based on Mingyi's idea, we can give them more opportunities. At worst, train them to join the coaching staff. Lin Dao is the most talented. Make sure the team pays full attention and that others don't corrupt him. Reassign dorms in a few days and put them together. Mozai slurped his noodles. The cafeteria food was home-style and simple, but everyone ate here. Call everyone to the conference room at noon, he said. After breakfast, he let the morning's observations go. The cruelty of professional esports couldn't be overcome by attitude alone. Perseverance mattered. If these kids couldn't survive the first stage of NXG's tryouts, nothing else would matter. At noon in the NXG Youth Training Camp conference room, nearly 20 teenagers sat on stools holding copies of the club regulations. Zhu Xiaolong, Xiao Duan, and Death Announcement, who had arrived late last night and been forced back to the dorm by staff at 3 in the morning, all looked tired. Some in their dorm had slept immediately and were up early in the morning, even practicing English aloud. The contrast made Zhu Xiaolong feel like they'd wandered into an alternative school disguised as a gaming house. The youth training manager stepped forward. "Good morning, players. On behalf of NXG, welcome. Thank you for choosing us. I am Mo Zi, manager in charge of youth training." Dressed formally, Mo Zi spoke cordialities, then changed tone. "I have to be blunt. Stepping into the NXG base does not make you professional esports players. You're talented. You've got good rank scores. But professional play and casual playing are completely different. The entry bar for professional esports is much higher. This is not the rank ladder. This is a competitive battlefield that requires total focus and constant improvement. The tryouts last 7 days. We will evaluate talent, tactical understanding, teamwork, and pressure resistance. Those who pass will get formal signing qualifications. Those who can't persevere or don't meet standards midway, I'm sorry. The esports industry is unforgiving. Look at the NXG club player management regulations in your hands. I will explain them in detail. Listen carefully. They determine your daily assessment. Even Death Announcement, who hated lectures, forced his eyes onto the document. First, the club will sign a temporary tryout agreement with you, a probationary contract, valid for 7 days. Those who pass will sign a youth training contract. The regulations govern your training and daily life during the 7 days. Zhu Xiaolong read carefully. His uncle had told him that a player's relationship with a club resembled that between an employee and a company. You work for the club and the club pays you. Players who don't play are like employees who take pay without producing revenue. Strict compliance mattered. Mo Jie laid out the rules. During tryouts, club rules are strict. All actions must follow unified arrangements. Unauthorized private actions without prior reporting are prohibited. Violators will have their tryout qualification terminated. You may not duo queue with non-club players for extended periods. Contact with non-immediate relatives outside the club is prohibited. Murmurs erupted among the teens. No smoking? No going out? Do we have to ask our parents? Isn't this what we did in middle school? No perms or hair dye. The club will handle dyed hair. Daily training time, 14 hours? Bang. Modzie slammed the table. Shut up. I'll say it again. This is a club, not an internet cafe, your home, or an amusement park. Those willing to comply, stay. Those who cannot accept it, pack your bags and leave now. Silence fell. The air conditioner hummed. A few boys fiddled with their shirts. Some furtively checked their phones. They were getting their first taste of professional rules. Mozie continued. Next, the specific trial assessment rules for these 7 days. Wang Wang unrolled a KPI assessment form to hang on the wall. Yes, a KPI system. These half-grown boys had some idea of esports, but not what it meant to be professional. Many wanted to escape school and parents. Now they'd learn it was far harsher than studying. NXG had selection more brutal than the college entrance exam. Everyone starts with a base score of 60 points. Each evening, there will be a training task assessment. Each passed task adds 1 point. Each failed task deducts 5 points. Your KPI form will be posted behind your computer and updated daily. Additionally, players under 17 who have already reached diamond rank get an extra 5 base points. Mo Zie answered the obvious question before it was asked. Why the uneven bonuses and penalties? Because this is an esports club, not a casual game. A diamond rank under 16 indicates exceptional game talent. You are only required to pass. If you can't meet the pass line, it's better to go home. Those sure to participate should sign the trial agreement on the last page. Don't worry about the Guardian section. Staff will contact you tonight to get electronic signatures. Every 5 people called will form a temporary team. You have 20 minutes to get to know each other. Without much reaction time, Wang released the first day's training schedule. The first day's task was simple in concept. Teams of trainees would play practice matches against NXG's first team. If you win 1 game against NXG's first team, your KPI increases by 20 points. Reach 100, and you can enter promotion matches to compete for a spot on the second team, or even the first team, Mogul. Report the champions you're best with, someone instructed. Zhu Xiaolong stood under the sycamore in the plaza, checking his 4 teammates. He only recognized the jungler Mala Xiangguo, a thin young man with glasses, Zheng Long, who favored Orianna and Rise. Pi Xiaoshuan, Xuan Pai, liked Twitch, Ashe, Ezreal. Lu Mingde, Moon, played Zyra, Janna, Lulu. Elsewhere, other groups made similar preparations. Wang watched with little reaction. They didn't understand the gap between ranked solo queue and professional teams. The youth training manager sped toward the main base on a small electric scooter and joined the first team's custom room. The game lobby filled with NXG IDs. NXG Norsha joined, NXG Sari joined, NXG Stone joined, NXG Yihan joined, NXG Kiwan joined. When Zhu Xiaolong sat down and saw the IDs, his mouth twitched. I knew it. The opponents are the first team. Mala Xiangguo said, excited and eager to clash. He didn't expect the youth manager to be in bottom lane as support. For the first game, pick what you're most confident with, Wang said. Other groups that have finished, go to the meeting room, OB on the big screen. 2 hours later, the meeting room was full of hollow faces and existential doubt. In 2 hours, the NXG first team had utterly crushed all 4 youth teams. Each game, not counting champion select and substitutions, averaged under 20 minutes. The first group got tower dove repeatedly. Xuanpi and Moon in bottom lane were singled out and continually tower dove by 4 NXG members. Their top laner spent most of the game farming under fountain. In mid, Yu's Orianna was comboed by a Jarvan 4 at level 2 and stayed under tower for 10 minutes. Zhu Xiaolong in top never died but was ineffective. The enemy rumble made him afraid to even look at the lane. When he tried to trade, mid and jungler collapsed onto him and nearly killed him. Only quick use of ultimate and flash saved him. The first group lost in 16 minutes. The second group, with death announcement and Xiao Duan in bottom, fared no better. They traded in lane, but once the first team seized a rhythm, the trainees collapsed like an avalanche. Death announcement was repeatedly ganked and spent most of the mid-game on the black screen. His Caitlyn lagged 50 CS behind Xu Jing's Ezreal. Vision control was devastatingly poor. Their wards lasted less than a minute on average. One moment, top laners were fine. The next, the enemy mid, jungler, and support were already behind them. 0 dragons, 0 towers, 0 kills. All 4 teams suffered the same. The third group had tried an early game comp to burst the vets, but NXG played them like monkeys. No large fights, disciplined rotations, and a push to high ground by minute 19. The youth teams looked like bronze and silver players despite being considered experts outside the pro world. Coordination was absent. Players engaged and died, or one initiated while others retreated. Teams split while contesting objectives. Minion waves exploded, and lanes fell 3 levels out of sync. Confident individual plays were nullified by NXG's support and rotations. Every time a trainee thought they could commit, they were met with crushing counterplay. Jiang Ming hadn't let them off the hook. He had designed this brutal welcome to weed out those without resolve and to give these internet-addicted teenagers a first lesson in failure. Only by experiencing failure could anyone be qualified to pursue success in professional play. It was also a management move. Once the juniors tasted defeat, future training would be easier. Because these kids were still young, Jiang Ming hadn't unleashed the more advanced pressure training he used on veterans like Wei Xiao and Ming Kai. Not yet.